Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Brandon Groce, and I want to welcome you to Real Talk, brought to you by Editor X, the world's most powerful no-code web design platform for designers and creatives alike. Real Talk is a live show where we share with you exciting design, news, trends, career advice, and conversations with thought leaders in the space, entrepreneurs, agency owners, and more around no-code, UI, UX, product design, and the marketing spaces, and on top of that, so much more. If that sounds right up your alley, do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can come back each week to get your daily and weekly dose of information. And also, if you feel so inclined, don't forget to like this video. It helps tremendously. So with that said, let's jump into today's conversation. All right, howdy everybody. Welcome again to another portfolio review with an amazing guest, Jaslin Tonton. We're going to be bringing him here on stage in just a minute, but I just want to take a second to say hello to all of you guys and contextualize again just how amazing Jaslin is. Again, he's giving us an hour of his time. He has worked with brands like Amazon, Adobe, Apple, Meta, Hotel.com, and so many more. Like, if you guys see that little line that's going underneath, like, there's not enough space to tell you just how much experience Jaslin has. So we have him for a little bit today. Thank you for those of you who have submitted their work in our Discord community so that we can actually go over what it is that you have submitted and give you guys feedback on your case studies, your portfolio, and things like that. So just wanted to say hello to all of you guys. We have Chris in the house. We have JT, good to see you. Teodora, nice to see you. Kieran, and many more. All right, so we're gonna bring him onto the stage. We're gonna you can say a little bit, we like to talk. We're cousins, by the way, if you don't know. So let's bring him up on stage, all right? Give me a second. What's going on, Jaslin? What's happening?
Hey, how's it going, cousin? I mean,
it's going.
I feel like I need to take you everywhere with me. I mean, that intro, like, seriously, I should just walk in a room and then you just walk behind me and just introduce me every time. Like, oh, you go first and I come second. Like, I think we should do that like every single time. Like, I can never outlive that.
You just gotta keep me in the pocket, man. You just gotta keep me in the pocket. Ladies and
go ahead,
you just think no, you're good. Finish.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I need this. Like, I need you to everywhere. Definitely for my kids to hear that.
For sure. So guys, some house cleaning items before we begin here today. Okay, first off, do not forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't, because this is an event that we do bi-weekly. So if we don't get to everything in our list today, please do know that we have this on a consistent basis. And also, key point here, because there has been such a large demand for this, Jaslin we'll be putting a poll here later today of really how we can add value to your guys' life a little bit more, Jaslin in particular. So whether that be like, an accompanying ebook on what a portfolio should actually entail, whether you guys want more small cohort type deal, times to book with Jaslin where maybe you meet 4 hours every month as like small groups, or if you guys want one-on-one support from him, we're gonna have a poll for you guys to answer what other additional things you would find valuable in your life provided by Jaslin. So with that said, we'll have that in the YouTube poll in just a minute. But thank you guys for coming. So with that said, how we're going to do today's session, because it's a little bit cleaner than we did last week, so thank you guys for your patience in general. Jaslin is basically going to start off with, actually, I mean, I don't have to tell you what you're going to do, Jaslin, but basically he's going to take us through what makes a good portfolio. We're going to go through what examples that were submitted kind of represent what that good portfolio is, and then we'll dive into the rest of the list of everybody that has submitted their work, so we can tie back all of the work that has been submitted back to the good examples. So Jaslin, I'm gonna let you take it away, and you let me know when we're ready to share your screen after anything you want to say to the audience.
Sounds good. Thank you for that intro. And he make it sound like I'm a life guru. I'm not. Like, I am learning as much as everyone else. It's just I've been in the industry for a little bit, and I've had the fortunate pleasure of working for some amazing people, and I've seen my fair share of like really great portfolios, so especially those that come to my desk for review and hiring and all that. But I don't have the answers to everything. So I just want to caveat that so no one hold me to this standard that I can't reach. Like, Brendan, you're too much sometimes. But that said, if you were here last time with all somewhat disastrous start, so you're gonna hear a couple of things that was, that we said before. Because here's the thing about great design, like it's repetitive, right? In a way, meaning like the things that makes something great doesn't change weekly. Like they are the same. Like the principles of design stays the same, like from the beginning of time to now, right? Like it's all the same. So a portfolio is very much the same way. So we're not really gonna, like, don't come to expect like new ideas per se, but it's more like, here's what's been proven and tested, and some of the key points gonna sound repetitive, but it's not just. So if you hear before, you're probably gonna hear some things that was said last time we did this, but there will still be some new nuggets maybe you're gonna find out of this by looking at so many different things. And something I said often is like, as a designer, always getting yourself a healthy dose of design diet, which means like constantly looking at great design. So here's an hour where we're going to be looking at some fantastic design. We're going to see some room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. So that's here's the 5 things that I strongly believe make a great portfolio that might apply to everyone, no matter how long you've been doing this. Number 1, which might seem obvious, choose your best work. And I said it many times, and I will repeat it every single day. Do not put any work that you don't feel confident about. Don't put any work that you don't want to do more of. Like on your portfolio, if you don't want to do app design, then maybe don't display app design. Even if that redesign of the app that you did is your quote unquote best work, but you don't want to do more of it because it doesn't bring you joy, I feel like that might be trademarked, someone else, not mine. Don't do it. Like, who is that, Brendan? Bring you joy. I feel like it's something I heard somewhere. I don't know.
Marie Kondo, I think, or something. Like, if it doesn't bring you joy, or
yeah,
something.
exactly. Yeah. So apply that on your portfolio. Like literally, if it doesn't you joy when you were working on it, maybe don't put it on your portfolio because you don't want to do more of it. Right. The second one, which is something that can apply to your life as well, organize your portfolio. I am notoriously bad at organization. I'm gonna be honest and just put it out there. I'm terrible at it. But like organizing your portfolio, what I mean is like, make it like you don't have to reinvent the wheel on every page. When people are going to your portfolio, when a creative director or hiring managers or recruiters go into your portfolio, you want to have a level of like consistency throughout, right? Like I click on this one, there's a certain standard. I expect to see that throughout the rest of it, and then it just makes my life easier to get to it. So organize, keep it simple, arrange your portfolio in a very logical and easy to follow way. Don't really reinvent the wheel too much on that aspect. Add context to the work that you put on your portfolio. Like great images are great. Obviously use pictures that are not pixelated. These are great things that you should definitely have, but add a little bit of context. Like, what did you do? When did you do it? Like, and give that information. Like, the sooner the better. Don't, if you did it as a group, put that you did it as a group. No one expect you to do everything. Just put it out there. Be honest, and don't try to hide the truth because we'll know, right? So just get it out there. Put a little bit of context, but don't write an essay. And we'll get into that later as we move forward. And then the last point, which is one that's probably the hardest one to do, and I struggle with, keep it up to date. Sometimes we like to leave it, like, set it and forget it. And at times, if you are working, that's whatever, who cares? But if you are looking for a new position or you're just not happy with your current situation, like, you want to freshen it up a little bit, because the thing with our industry, it moves fast and it's constantly evolving, it's constantly updating. You have, even if you don't, I would say I'll caution you about following design trend just for the sake of following design trend, but at the same time, those recruiters, they kind of want to see that you are on the level at, like, with everyone else. So you just want to make sure you give yourself that edge. That said, I think that's enough point. That's 5. 5 is a good number. There's more we can do, but I don't want to just sit there and talk. Let's just get into some work and
Let's
do
do
some cool stuff. All right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and I see
right.
yeah. Good. Is my screen showing?
Let me actually. I think it was, and then it ran away from me. Hold on one second.
Bad window.
No, man. Let's go back real quick. Let me see. Give me a second, guys. Everything was set up, and then I believe either I or Jaslin unshared their screen, and then here we go. Nope.
Okay, I'll take the blame for that one. I think I might have accidentally clicked on the green button. I have a problem. I see the button. I have to click on the button.
it's all good. All right, here we go. We're putting it back on. Thank you, guys. All right, let's see. Boom, boom, and then oopsies. Let's undo that. Let's bring. Okay. Pardon, guys. Share. Boom. All right.
Here we were bragging about how we got this done.
There we go. No, there we go. We got it. Boom.
Woo! And then I clicked on the button. This one wasn't me. This one wasn't me. I did click on the button. It was shiny. It was bright. Click on it, which goes to tell you if you want me to click on your portfolio. So this is a good transition, right? Like put that shiny white button on top. Especially if it's a prototype, it makes life easier. I will click on it every time, and a lot of other people. Like, like as evolved as we are, we still have like monkey brain. We see shiny button, we click on it, right? So use that to your advantage. So starting here, like I'm just gonna scroll to this real quick, just kind of like looking at like the overall, like at the homepage. I really like just kind of point a couple things that I really like that's happening in here. The little bit of animation that's going on, the product designer like shaking, like these things again. It's that kind of like that shiny button. It grabs your attention. This is a little small, hard to read. Like I almost see this little bracket. I almost kind of just want to drag it a little bit to make it a little bit bigger, so I can kind of like, I have bad vision. I mean, you see the size of my glasses, so that goes to show you. But overall, this looks really great. I mean, and I think the person knows that. The animations, everything in here is really great. But we're here to look at case studies, so. But don't get me wrong, like having these type of thing is really, it's not a bad idea because it kind of like give you a little bit of anticipation of what to expect, of what kind of like work that the person is like kind of like produce and things like that. So like it's good to put effort into that homepage. But I love the simplicity. It doesn't take too long for me to get to what I came for. Like boom, boom, and I'm here. And I will always click on the first one. That's just a thing that I do. If it's first, it must be your best. Is that one? I don't know. Anyway, I get distracted. I'm like a squirrel. Like nuts. It's a personality flaw. So and again, like some of the stuff that I mentioned earlier, right off the bat, right? Like this is happening. Start with a visual. It's always great to give me an idea, like of what to expect. Like right off the bat. I wish this had a little bit more to it, other than the QR code. But at least I know it's gonna be an app, something to do with something I don't know. I wish this had given me a little bit more, but still, it's not bad. Like the visual is still okay, but it could be a little bit stronger. I love this. Again, this looks, just tell me when it started, what you did, like what your role was. Like again, this was what I was talking about, like organizing it in a way that makes it fast. Going to the project overview. And I'm just gonna, oh yeah, these are always great. I think the video autoplay in here, which is fine because there's no audio, but maybe like give option to like kind of like, I guess this is fine. I'm nitpicking it, right? So this is always good to have, like if you have a prototype, you have a video, anything that you have that's just get the point across faster, like put it on top. Don't save it for that final reveal moment because you might never get the chance because you have about 5 seconds to make an impression. So this is really good way to do that. And then as we scroll, low animation here. Like, so this is really strong, but I like one, like in terms of like the visuals, but the overall structure of the page is a little bit chaotic, and it becomes a little bit hard to follow. Maybe chaotic is a strong word, but it's a little hard to follow because the structure is kind of like bouncing all over the place. So this is where the organization will come in, right? So we have like there's there's a pattern, there's a structure, but I think maybe it's because my screen is too wide, or this was designed to be in a smaller screen. Maybe these are all, but these are all things you should think about, because right now, so like this text is over here, then this image is over there, and then as we scroll, like it's just a lot of moving. All of a sudden, we have like a center line. Um, so I would probably go back and just kind of like tighten this a little bit, right? Like it just bounced a little bit. Too much, and it just makes it really hard to follow. Like the visuals are strong, but the organization of the overall page could just be tightened up a little bit and just keep it a little bit less bouncy, so to speak. So got the project overview, the key problems. Again, I would love to see like highlighting like the problem, like maybe like some sort of title to let me know this is the problem. Because as much as I love this video, I would bypass this like almost every time because I didn't know this was the key problem. Again, remember, people that are gonna be viewing this are not gonna spend time trying to read it. So just highlighting what the problem, what the solution was, like a little bit bigger and make that like more prominent, like that would be beneficial. Like although I understand like the cuteness of this, like, but I think just a simple like just paragraph like okay problem like with a header or something would just get the point a little bit faster. The cuteness is good, but it just you just want to get that point a little bit faster. um yeah there's not really much else I can add. I think overall like the design wise it looks great. Just the organization of this page is it's a little bit a little bit too much all over the place. I would just bring it in a little bit more and just keep the structures, just simplify the structure a little bit. Brendan, if you don't have do you have anything to add, or do you want to move on to the next one as we're trying to
No,
get
I
to as
think
many as we can?
yeah, I think, and just to recap for everybody, like we wanted to start off with this one because just a lot of things were done right. We
Yes.
wanted to start with it because like this kind of exemplifies what we want to see in portfolios. Now, the other things that Tonton mentioned that can just enhance the experience of this portfolio, that's just going to help you even better. But we wanted to start with this so everybody can kind of see like where all the good things, what the good things or the things that Tonton listed out, what that looks like visually. And then as we go through everybody else's portfolios, you guys will always pull you back to this example and be like, remember what we said, this was right, this was right, this was right, and we wanted to add these other two, these other few things. We're going to say the same thing about your portfolio, and here's based on how your portfolio is or is laid out, how you can do that. So with that said, we can move on to, I think there's maybe like 4 other ones, but we don't have to go through them at the same length. We just also want to show you guys which the good habits. We want to focus on good habits, and with that, because we know there's a lot of people that wanted feedback, and there's a lot of links. We want you guys just in general. It's very difficult to go through all of the links, but that's not a bad thing. What we want you guys to understand is that typically in portfolios in general, and we mentioned this a little bit last time, they typically have the same issues. It's just, what is the people when they come to your portfolios, what is the challenge, what was your solution, and can I see or get my hands on your actual solution, whether it's in video medium, images, or a prototype. So that's, like Tonton said, there's going to be a lot of repetitiveness. We're going to give you guys a structure and kind of just touch on that structure with each portfolio. So we might not dive super deep, but as we go through this list, we just wanted to remind you guys of that. Okay, so
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonton,
Everything he just said. And keep in mind, like, as I go to this, I'm looking at it both from like a hiring manager perspective and the creative director. Like, as this thing comes to my desk, like the amount of time that I would spend in them, like, is about a minute at best. And maybe 2 if it's something that really grabbed my attention. This is the one you save and you go back to later because it grabs your attention. You're like, okay, this person, we need to talk, right? Because there's something there. And then, so everything I'm saying, like, just keep in mind, like, that when, and that last one, when I talk about that banner, just being more impactful, like just having like your strongest screen just up there, you might think you're spoiling something, but just keep in mind, like you have about 5 seconds to grab people's attention. So there's no spoiler. Like you click on that, just show them something beautiful. Just boom, here it is. Here's what you're going to expect as you scroll down. Like, it's just a little bit more impactful. So as we go through here, again, things people don't do, like we're not gonna spend all the time reading everything, but like here's good things that are happening here. Like right out of the bat, like the challenge, the solution. Like these are very important because this put it in context. And if you remember what we mentioned in the beginning, context is key when you're looking at this portfolio. Because if I know what the challenge was, as I scroll down, now I'm paying attention to how the solution that you mentioned came into play, right? So the challenge for this one, like you can read, I don't need to read it out loud, just so we can get to this a little bit faster, right? So I'm just gonna scroll. Like I see this here. Yeah, so branding and all that. I love branding. So again, there's something there, right? Before I scroll down, like I already have an idea of what the logo looks like, and not just what it looks like, but in context, which is something I'm going to talk about as we scroll to this one. If you're going to do branding of any kind, mark it up, not just mark it up, but put it in context. Because, and I like, you see this by itself, it looks fine, but you see it in here, you're like, oh, like it just makes a lot more sense visually, and it just kind of like put it in context, and it's just better. So always put it in context. So again, there's a lot to love here. Love logo design, the color scheme, great. um like things I wish that I saw, um but I didn't see any. Again, the visual wise, it looks really great. I love, like, the fast pace, right? Like bam, 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 bam. I see it in context. I see the logo in action. I see all of these things, and all of this is great. Right now, I might go back and then just read more of like, okay, what were you going for? What was the idea? What was you were trying to solve for? But overall, like really great job of just putting in context, keeping it, and you see the simplicity of this, right? Like it's not a lot to it. It's very expected. Like I wish this image then we're not in the bottom. I wish this was like, how like everything else like scroll on top. Maybe this is some code issues. Like I wish I could see this a little bit more. I wish it would just go on top of this so I can see the business card. Like, because right now I missed out on that. But overall, like the speed of getting to this, just seeing this in context, just seeing it, like, again, in the bottom here, like if this was a real project, this is where you could talk about like, the impact that the logo have had in the business since you did it. Like you increased sales by whatever, like, these type of data are great. You don't have to sit there and explain your every decision for the logo and why it's an anchor, blah blah blah. This is what you do it during the interview process, but on your portfolio, just get to the point. Again, Brendan, if you don't have anything to add, we can move on to the next one to keep going.
Yeah, man. I think we can move on. I think again, it's a lot of reiteration, and I think once we start, what's me call it? Yeah, it's going to be really repetitive. But I think as we go through these things, like what would be very beneficial is as we see the good things, we recognize those, and then we're like, all right, if you add the 1-2, I think so. The valuable pieces everybody kind of takes away is like generally this is what I want in my portfolio, and by the way, here's the 1 or 2 things that I can add to better my portfolio from where it is today. So I think we're on a good roll.
Yeah. So one debate, right? Like, so as much as I love this image, like, because you get to see it in context, I'm debating if like this is stronger. Like again, this is where like it's super subjective on that part, right? Like this is 100% up to you. Like, would this be stronger? See the yacht, see the logo, and then you just go like, I don't know, but seeing the VIN is also cool. So anyway, moving on. This is purely subjective. You get to do it as you please. This is your portfolio, and keep in mind, at the end of the day, it is your portfolio, and it should represent you yourself, not me, not what I think, but it is your portfolio. Just keep in mind, like, the key structure, but don't design it based on what I think because it's not my portfolio. Um, but the structures and all of the tips that we are giving you, take those and add your spin into them, so to speak. It's like if I ask you to design a car, like you're gonna have 4 tires in a, at least from like, you're not gonna be like, oh, I don't need tires, right? So what we're giving you is the tires. How you design the car is up to you. I like this analogy. I'm gonna use that more often. I just came up with it. All right, scrolling down. Okay, so again, like I said, I'm just gonna click on the first one. Okay, so first thing right off the bat from a UX perspective, don't just have just the button clickable. Like this whole thing should be clickable. Like just it just makes sense. But right now, just having the button, like from a UX perspective, it's a little off. It's fine, but you should just have the whole thing clickable. Just pointing that out. Okay, moving on. I don't know if there's an image that's supposed to load. Here it is. Took a little bit long. Um, so I would start in here is like again. I think this is where less could be more. As much as like I talk about like you want to make an impact. Like you don't have to give away everything, right? Like pick your best screen, put it in a mock-up, like put it in a billboard or put it in a mobile app, put in animation, put a GIF or something. Just have it be your best one and just have it be like just pretty. The problem that's happening here is just it's a little bit much. It's a little busy. There's just like so many things going on. I can't focus, and it's just a little distracting. So I would peel back a little bit and simplify it, and then just have that one screen that you do, whether it's in a mock-up, whether it's laying down, whatever. Just have it be a little bit more impactful. But you don't have to give away this much. It's just a little too much going on where you can't really make out the other screens. So just take one. Moving on. Again, project overview. There's millions of ways to do this. There's no right or wrong way. As long as you have it and it's short, it's quick. This is what I'm looking for. Again, here I think there could be a little bit more in terms of just hierarchy between this header and the body copy. It's kind of like blending into each other. I'm a type nerd, so I'm just gonna dive into that a little bit. I would say like the key thing is like skip a weight. So make this bold, make this regular. So don't go medium regular. It just doesn't create enough hierarchy to like visually like. You don't have to make this font bigger. You could just make it bold and keep this regular. So that way, as I move through this, like it'll grab my attention. So the problem, the solution, just a little something to work in here. Design process. This is one of these things where like it's good. It feels sometimes it can feel like busy work. Like you don't have to talk about your design process on every piece on your portfolio. This could be something you do on your about page, or it's at the bottom if you must have it, because it doesn't really matter how you got there. Like we expect to have research, we expect you to ideate, we expect you to do design and then simplify whatever. Like the design process is always the same. It doesn't matter. When you go work at an agency, they're gonna have a different process. You're gonna adapt to it. So this just sometimes feels like busy just to make your portfolio feels like more. I would either get rid of it or just talk about your process on your about page, and you don't have to reiterate that on every piece on your case study. Again, I understand this is probably more of a UX thing you're going for, understanding the user. There's a lot of text here. You could probably simplify this a little bit. Somehow I would go back and simplify this, like remove some of this copy and just, can you get your point across? Think of the elevator pitch. If you know it enough, you can tell it in shorter time. Or like you get your point across. You can dive into more details as we scroll down, but you just want to balance it between a little bit of copy, some visual, and something. Because when it's this much, it's just gonna get skipped. Just being honest. Personas, again, you don't need to put a persona. There's not a lot of different ways to design a persona. It's always the same. You have a photo, you have some stuff. It's nothing impressive. Again, it just feels like it's being added to stretch the amount of info. I'm not saying getting rid of it, but I'm just saying like I have not yet seen any visual as I scroll to these, as I'm just getting more. You need to sprinkle some UX and some UI to keep the user engaged. Journey map. Okay, I'm just gonna keep scrolling because again, this is a case where if you had a prototype or something, you would put it up front. But for now, like I'm just gonna keep scrolling because I've seen these 1,000 times. They don't really mean much to me. But you have a prototype, but it's all the way at the bottom. Skip that. This button right here, bring it up. Like, tell me the project overview, tell me the problem, or better yet, you have a beautiful image here, just have the prototype here, or put it under there. Just bring it up further up. Like, because I could skip a lot of things and then just go to your prototype and learn as much as I would by reading everything that you have. You know, just a little food for thought. And then I kept scrolling. I know we say we don't want to spend too much time, but it's impossible because I always have a lot to say. Images loading. Again, it took me so long to finally see some visual that it's doing you a disservice for all the great work that you've done. You don't have to put them all up front, but you need to sprinkle a little bit. Like get me excited. Like get me entice my appetite a little bit to keep scrolling. Again, you have this prototype. I would skip this one, to be honest, and just go with the high fidelity, just because, yeah, you did wireframing, cool, like that's great, but this does more. Like you still get the same thing. It looks prettier, and believe it or not, pretty is important. Like great design, like it needs to be functional, but it also needs to look aesthetically pleasing. So I would just skip the prototype, move this video further up. You could even honestly just move the video further up, skip the prototype, simplify this page a little bit, like sprinkle a little bit more design in between as you talk about it, and then just get rid of things that are just not really adding anything. Like if you think about it, right? If I look at this, what did that add to your portfolio? It just cool. You know how to plug in stuff in Figma. Like it didn't really add anything in this specific context. Okay, moving on to the next one. Trying to keep time. Overall, again, nothing I'm saying is an attack on you, whoever designed this. Keep in mind, this is all just me giving constructive feedback. It's not about you, it's about the work, and I'm just being honest. But the work looks great. It just needs to be refined, just simplified, and remove things that are unnecessary. It just keep you from getting to the good stuff. Okay, so I click on here.
Before you transition, Tonton, sorry, I know.
Yes.
Because I can tell you're like, we got 15 more minutes. You're starting to heat up. That tongue is like, so
I spit hot fire.
After each portfolio, it was like, like you just.
I'm trying to get through everything, man. Like I gotta be fair to the people
hot fire.
Shut up, man. I gotta be fair to the people that shut up.
Yes, and also to contextualize everybody, Tonton has his time limit, but I will be here just like last Friday. We will continue to get as much as done as possible because we're trying to give you as much value here as well. Again, if you would like to continue to ask or just chat with Tonton afterwards, all of his information is in links down in the description. And if you haven't already answered our poll question on whether you would like to see from Jaslin next or be a part of next, check the poll out on YouTube. And last thing before we continue, if you guys have questions, Jaslin's going to try to run through what he can, not for the questions but for the portfolio stuff, because I want you guys to get that. That's why you're here. But if you do have questions, I'm in the chat going at that stuff. So that's the dynamic. Okay, Jaslin's talking, I got the comments. All right. All right, Jaslin, back to it. Let's
Yeah, I would answer one question. I think somebody mentioned about like what happened with the stuff that you've done at the company that are confidential. That gets a little tricky, honestly. Like, first of all, if it's been published, then that's very different. Like, you can usually put that a link. You can put it behind a password protected thing on your portfolio. You can share that with a recruiter, but you just can't have it public most of the time. But they cannot stop you from sharing that link with a recruiter if you're looking for work. Legally, they have no way of stopping you from doing that. So just want to put that in. But you probably want to password protect it and then just only send it to recruiters or hiring managers. Okay, that's it. Moving on, let's jump in
back to it.
This one. My first comment would be, before we even get into it, form, functionality, accessibility, usability means nothing to me. This is your portfolio. This is your homepage. These are just things like, imagine if I remove your name, I can literally put anyone else's name in this sentence, still just apply, right? So this is your chance to make a statement that stands. Like, this is a chance for you to just say something, impress. Like, so I would put a little bit more effort and time into like, what do you want it to say about you as a person? As much as it's about the work, it's also about you. 99% of the time, the hiring decision comes down not to who has the best work, but who had the best, like, great work, but also with the personality to attach to that work. So just saying, like, so these things are as important, like, your homepage, like, you could have a little bit more fun with it. Although, yes, fun, functionality, accessibility are important things. They just very, and this sounds blunt, generic. So I would just maybe just work that. If this is the first thing I see, I'm like, ugh, like, so my expectation is like, I'm gonna see some generic redesign work, nothing special. Just, you don't want to do that. So seriously, go away. It's like, you're ruining my flow. All right, let's move on into some stuff. And I'm not sure if these are case studies or if they blog pages, because the button is, I mean, I get what you're trying to go for here, like trying to be cute, but it can, maybe you do it in a different way, because it look like blog pages if I click on these, just because of the visual and the different buttons and things like that. So just something to keep in mind. And I violate my own rule by clicking on the second one. Okay, so visual design, prototyping, user research. Nice photo, but maybe more of the work that you've done, unless or some sort of a context to what to expect. I know it's gonna be about plant, but maybe I would want to see more of the actual work as opposed to just a photo from Unsplash or something you took yourself. But if you're not going for a photography whoa, then maybe just a photo is just not enough. Like, just a little bit more. I'm gonna click on this big old shiny see full presentation. This is what I was talking about. Like, shiny button on top always get clicked on. So put them up. If this was a prototype, put it up. I will click on it, and most of us will click on it 99% of the time. So yeah. But for the sake of time, I will get to the rest of this later. It looks great, by the way. Just clean, simple presentation. There's not too much jumping around. You're just getting to the point. Love it. Again, this is what I was talking about the last one. Like, you see the problem, it's bold, it's bigger, and then what it is just like, there's a little bit more hierarchy, so you can just see things as you scroll. Because again, remember, people is going to be scrolling really fast, so you want to catch them, right? So the problem, you can't always simplify, but I would say, like, if you could shorten this, if you can, you should. If you can't, that's fine. Maybe even plan about put a TLDR version. I don't know, but just something to keep in mind, right? Shorter the better sometimes. I'm still working on that. I'm not good with shortening copy. That's just where I'm at. Okay, so now we're diving into this. Turned into a blog. That's just way too much copy. Just being honest, no one's gonna read it, even though they probably well crafted, great written piece of copy. It's just a little too much. You can have the same amount of copy, just sprinkled it out throughout the page a little bit with some visuals or something else. It's just a lot of copy, and then it's just a lot to read. And I do not fancy going back to school. Just, I'm being honest. But yeah, like, like the visuals here again, at the bottom, like, if you could go a little bit bigger, like I would. Even when I click on it, it's just so small. It's a little pixelated, so I can't, like, you probably put so much effort and time into crafting this thing, and then, but I can't really appreciate it as much just because I can't see it. So that's doing you a disservice. If you can find a bigger photos, or like something, even when I click on it, it just get bigger and I can really just take in the details, that would probably be the way to go in this one. yeah, Brendan, do you have anything else to add?
No, man, you got nail on the head.
All right, that's what I do. Spitting hot fire. I should change my name. I mean, Tonton, that's my rap name. It just
I
kind
was
of
trying to
worked,
get a
right?
little bit of a.
Right? You know what I said? Name's so nice, you say it twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tonton.
All right, jokes aside, let's move on. Cool. Unique experience designer. All right, let's change the name to Brendan, and this sentence again still applies. Uh, again, I know you probably be like, "What a hypocrite!" You go to my own portfolio, and you probably be like, "Oh, yours is generic too." And again, I'm not saying I'm above mistakes. I'm just saying, like, if you could do better than I can, then do better. So this is not saying like, I don't like. So I just kind of like caveat this real quick. Like the things that I'm printing out in here, it does not mean I don't actually make these same mistakes sometimes. Like there were things on the other portfolio. Another one that I kind of want to go back to just a split second that I haven't talked about, which is super important. When I'm here, give me a way to go to the next one. Like just I shouldn't have to go back to the homepage to see your next project. Like just at the link for the next one at the bottom. Like once I scroll all the way to the bottom, have a way for me to go to the next one. Whether it's like a picture, with however you want to design it, just have that. The previous one is not as important if you can do it, but definitely the next one. And I only say the previous one is not as important because I didn't do it on my own portfolio because I was too lazy. But truth be told, yeah, definitely have a link to the next piece in there, so you just keep the ball moving, as opposed to forcing the person to have to go back on top, clicking this thing, and that's not gonna happen. So do yourself a favor, just have the link to the next one in there, and maybe Gabriel did that. All right. Again, Gabriel, like a little bit. Just there's room for a little bit more here, other than unique experience designer. Like, what does unique mean in this case? Again, we're not here to judge the copy. Just all right. All right. Testimonials, always a good thing. Never underestimate the power of testimonial. Things I love right away. I get an idea what is coming. I get an idea, like the visual is pretty, the mock-up is nicely done, the little glow is just added extra, like all of these things. But but look the difference, right? So one thing I mentioned to and one prior was just there was just too much, right? But this one is just the right amount. It's pretty enough, it's simple, it's clean, it's just enough to get you interested into finding out more. So this really nicely done in terms of like, I know what it is, I know what, like I know the name of it, and I know what it is, and then I get a glimpse of what's to come. So the top, nicely done. The only thing that you could do better here would be if this site was live, having a link somewhere or whatever, or like a prototype, but you can also have it right here. But nicely done. Just want to point that part out. These are great also, like I think, but that again, probably put them at the bottom too, because if I click on this, okay, good, it opens another page that was going to be the thing. You don't want to take someone off the page that they're in. So Gabriel, you know what you're doing. All right, how's everything started? Good. It's the same thing. This is the problem statement, just written differently. I wish I had the solution sooner than the personas. Like again, give me the problem, give me the solution, and then you can dive into more details at the bottom, because these are important, just like what the problem was, what the solution. I also would love to see what your goal was. This could be a place where you put that. Um, this could be a place where you put, like, what your role was, some date when you started, the team, like these information that you could put here or there, or you want to have it in the beginning somewhere. So that would be the next thing I look for. I feel like I don't even have to say it. You already know what I'm going to say. You can have all these, but maybe just not so far on top. Give a little bit more. in the beginning. If you have a prototype link, push it up on top. Um, this next one is super subjective. So don't take it. Like I personally never find wireframes to be something worth putting on a portfolio just because it's like if I'm hiring a designer, I expect you to be able to design things, and then wireframing things are just like kind of like part of the package deal. Like it's everyone can kind of do a wireframe. So to me, it just feels like filler when I see these sometimes. Like, so I would probably just skip that one. It didn't add anything. Well, if you're gonna do it, like high five, like this is probably better, but I wouldn't do both. It just feel like you just don't have enough. You're just trying to stretch out what you have, but there's better way to stretch out what you have than just adding like your paper wireframe and your high fidelity wireframe. Like it just feels, we can tell when you're just stretching it, but you don't really need to stretch it because the little that you have, it can be as impactful, if not more impactful, if you just keep it simple and get to your point, as opposed to trying to stretch things out as much as you can. Like these, again, looks great. I love the zooming in to show the little details. Like these are the stuff, like put these here instead of that, like, and you already having like the user want to scroll more, like maybe move these up further up and then move the wireframe, because these didn't add much, but these are doing a lot of heavy lifting for you, so do that. um yeah, like I love the little where was this in that homepage, like like this little personality that's sprinkled in this, like do that on your homepage. Don't be shy, take a look at every screen. Like these are fun, and it's okay to, again, that's why I said like it's your portfolio, so I want to see you in it. Like I want to see it reflect your personality a little bit. Like this could be, again, this could be the factor that puts you above the next person, because you're able to show who you are, like a little bit of your personality and what to expect if you get an interview. So sprinkle some of this uh, um, seasoning on that homepage. Man, I am so hungry. Every example is about food.
You're just like 1 hour and I'm hungry, y'all. They did that last time too. My stomach was like
like the problem is, man, I've been fasting, so I've not had food, and I am cooking right now. Like I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be good. Like whew. Anyway, enough about me. So this is where I would say this is too much. You have a lot of screens, but you don't have to show every screen, right? So think of the story that you were trying to tell, and think how you can tell that story with the screen that are the most impactful one. Like this screen didn't add, like this little screen with the logo in it adds zero, nada to this story. Like it's a loading screen. It's just a white thing with the thing. It doesn't really do much. This screen, however, is stronger. This is just a form. Like it's literally just that. Like it's a form fill. Like we've seen 1,000 of them, right? So I would say go back and just remove, like tell the story, but tell it a little bit faster. Like just remove things that just kind of like, you see that on every screen. There's nothing special here, right? But this one, like the illustration is shining. It's the first screen in there. I know what to expect. If I click on one of these buttons, one's gonna sign me in, the other one's gonna take me to a sign-up flow. You don't have to show the entire sign-up flow. Maybe you have this one, and then you have that, like the little one with the check mark that tells me like, oh, okay, so the user has signed up. Like tell a story, but like a very succinct story, because even though like you labored over this screen, they, like this screen and that screen is literally the same thing. It's just a form fill with a button. There's just nothing special there. If you want to do all that, put it on a prototype, and then now every screen makes sense. Every screen has, like it tell a story. But I would say simplify this a little bit. Just tell the story with less screens. Like this is the exact same screen at here, just different copy. Like this is the same screen here, just different words, right? So yeah, I don't want to tell you which screen to keep and which screen to get rid of because you understand the story better than I do. But I would just say simplify this a little bit. It's just it gets a little repetitive, and you don't need it. Um, I love this here. Maybe if you had some stats to put here, like that's weird. If you want to be all polite about thanking people for schooling, that's cool. But I would rather you use this page to take me to the next project. Be like, okay, you've seen this one, you're still not impressed. You want to see a second one? Here it is. Get in touch. Always good to have that. But the one thing that's missing for me in here is, can I get to your next project without scrolling all the way back up? And in your case, first of all, this should be clickable. You know, like this should always be clickable. This should always be an escape to home. But I have to click on the home. Okay, I take that back. You only have one. Okay. But when you do add more, just, make sure you add that at the end. So yeah, since you only have one, like, again, it's still pretty strong. This still stands, still make this clickable. Maybe have a link to scroll back up, simplify the story a little bit, just tell it a little bit faster. You don't have to show every single screen, just enough to get the point across. Now I'm being repetitive, so I'm gonna stop talking. Brendan. Oh my god, Siri was recorded everything.
Oh, whoops. My bad. I was talking and I've been muting my mic a ton of times because I'm having to write in the chat and my keyboard is loud as hell. What's it called? Okay. So we have a couple questions in the chat and I know Tonton is about at time.
We good. So we got
good?
Yeah, we got like 5 minutes. 10 if I'm late to my next one.
Okay. Well, let's jump into some Q&A because I want to at least have your voice answer some of these questions while you're here. So guys, we have a couple questions already. I'm going to read them off to Tonton, but if you guys have any questions that you just want Tonton to answer, please put them in the chat now. We're going to take the next 10-ish minutes to go through them. And after that, then we'll go through the rest of the list that we have. But all right, so while you guys are typing in the chat what your questions are, first one here, let me grab from Tristan. Let's see, let me grab it. So I'm putting it up on the screen here so everybody can kind of see it. So thoughts on jumping right into the portfolios and saving the intro for an about page. So basically the question is like, kind of just like how the portfolios had, where it's just like, here I am, this is what I do, and then after that there's like a section of just like alternating work. Should you have that beginning portion that tells people who you are and what you do and then lead into the work, or can you just like have somebody immediately jump into the work? What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is kind of like, it's gonna sound repetitive because it's something I said before. Like the difference between like, you getting hired versus somebody that has really great work can all comes down to your personality. And you can jump straight into the work, but you should still like then have an about page that can go into a little bit of detail about who you are, what you do, why we should hire you. Because when the work looks great, the next thing we're gonna look for, and then I say we as in like, like hiring managers and creative directors, like kind of like in that position, like the next thing like they look for is going to be like, what are you about? So just like if you can jump straight into that work on that homepage. You cannot have a homepage, and that's fine, and it's just your work. But having a about page that just give a little bit more on who you are. Like again, this is what I said in the beginning. It's your portfolio. Then it should reflect you as a person. It's not just about the work. The work is important, but you as a person is also important. Like I'm always this high energy, right? Like it just is. So if you go to my portfolio, you're gonna get that right away. Like I start screaming at you from the moment it loads, like like with bold letter and caps, just to trying to capture that personality a little bit, if I can help it. So yeah, I want to see the you in your portfolio. You're on mute again.
Thank you, man. Like you guys are like, Brandon, why aren't you reading the chat? And I'm like, man, I am sending people links. I am reading the chat. I am monitoring my own mic, making sure people are a-okay on Discord. I got like 3 screens and I'm just like the entire time. Like I'm like CIA mode right now. Okay, but thank you all for your patience. Okay, next one. This is a really simple question. This is more of a design aesthetic question from JT. So she's taking inspiration for design aesthetic. Actually, let me read this. If I am taking inspiration on my design from big companies, one that favor large, clean sections with mainly large images and short text, will that be appealing or considered boring? I know that was very general, but just imagine, as we say, like large background text or background images and just large text sections. I know asking if that's boring or not is very general, but just like
I mean, like, so the answer to that is, don't be generic and don't be default. Um, you know, like, do you think it's boring? Then therefore sprinkle some you in it. Like, it's good to take inspiration. Like, and it's good, it's even better to take inspiration from multiple sources because then you can just, it's not stealing inspiration from one source and you do exactly what they do is stealing inspiration from multiple sources and combine them somehow with your own thing. Is not stealing, right? Like, that's originality. That's what it is. So, like for example, like where I work, like at Apple, we do that. Like, it's literally all we do is like simplify, redefine. But they known for that. Like, you expect it from them. But if the rest of your work, like your portfolio should also match like the rest of your work. If the rest of your work don't have that same feel, then your portfolio just feels disconnected, right? So that's how I would look at it. Do your design reflect that portfolio? And but also, yeah, like big text and big image, it can be done and it can be fun. Like, there's way to do it to still have personality, to still sprinkle some things in it. Like, in my own work, I do that. I also don't use tons of colors. That's mostly because I'm limited in skills in terms when it comes to colors. I'm just really bad with them, so I default to black and white. And then I just said it's because I really like these colors, but that's a lie. I just really bad with using colors. Uh, but so that story was just there just to let you know, like, there's way you can still bring you into it without making it boring. Like, just make sure like whatever you do on your portfolio reflect the work in the inside, because that portfolio is like, it's the it's like it's the visual part, it's the aesthetic part, right? Like, when I click on it, it's that first letter. Like, in my own thing, I say like beauty is not everything, but beauty is a good letter of introduction, right? So think of it this way. It's not my proverb, it's someone else. But like, so whatever you do on the outside, like in that portfolio, if it reflects on the rest of the work, then there will be a level of consistency that's happening. So that's the key. You want to be consistent. I got time for maybe two more questions.
yes.
At
All right,
best,
we're gonna bundle up a couple questions here. So I'm answering some in the chat, but I want two people are asking about they're freshly done with like the Google certificate, and the question is how after I have these skills, but I don't have like real work to actually put in my portfolio, can we actually create fake projects or kind of find solutions to problems that people didn't ask us to go after? How do we with the skills, right, with the theoretical skills now to go out and do this, even though that we don't have people telling us to solve problems? Can we solve problems, create case studies out of that? How do we go about that?
You absolutely can, and you definitely should, because it's like the problem in our industry is like the chicken and egg thing, right? Like, everyone wants somebody with experience, but no one wants to hire you until you have experience. And you can't get the experience unless you be hired. So this is where you get creative. And like I tell people all the time, like, you should absolutely come up with projects on your own in a way, but get creative with the writing. Like, and what I mean by that, like, don't lie about it. Don't pretend like it's a real project, but you don't have to go out right off the bat and say this is a fake project either. Like, get creative with it, and just, if the visuals are there, the research is there to back it up. No one, most recruiters and most like you can then sell that during an interview. Be like, oh yeah, this was just a fun project, and I challenge myself to do this and that. You can still challenge yourself and still set boundary for yourself and talk about those boundaries that you set, just like if it was a real client. And you will find designing for yourself can be more difficult than designing for a client. So yeah, absolutely. If you need the experience and you just like, I would caution you about redesigning major companies. like app. Like I don't do Spotify, don't do LinkedIn, like just, or maybe find a local shop in your area, a little mom and pop that could just use a little spruce up. Do those, but avoid the major company just because it's been done so many times. You don't have enough research to make certain decisions. But with that local mom and pop, you could literally go in there and do research and field study by asking people that are coming to shop. And then if you can show all that doing like on your portfolio, even if it's a fake thing, it's still gonna give you an advantage, and it's gonna give you that little bit of an edge.
Yeah, they're basically, the way that I like to put this, and it's no different than what Tonton is saying. Nobody asked for the solution of the light bulb. Someone saw the problem. They had the skill sets to go after that and come up with something new. They spent a whole bunch of time on developing what that new solution is, and then started to sell that solution to, or present that solution to other people. Hey, there's something better than oil lamps and candles out here. This is what I have. So they used the skill sets they developed, produced this new outcome, and then showed that to other people. So that was kind of like their portfolio. Hey, here's what I have. Nobody asked for it, but here's what I can do. People liked it. They started to support them, and now we kind of have light bulbs and things like that. So we have to take an inventor's approach to these sort of things. And Tonton, I know you're overnight. I think we hear that phone going. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You got to roll out.
Yeah, I do have to jump, unfortunately. As you can hear in the background, like all these notifications are coming in. But what I will say is that, like Brendan said in the beginning of this, if you want to get more of this, like there's a like, there's that, what is it called, Brendan? The thing with the thing. Click on it, vote, whatever it is. I don't know, Brendan, figure all these things out.
The poll, yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to help, and I'm happy to jump back in, but unfortunately my time is short for the day. I have to go do other work. But I just want to say thank you so much for everyone that turned in. And another big kudos for everyone that actually sent a link to the portfolio for review. That takes a lot of like courage, and it can be scary to just have other people just sitting there and judging your work, and it feels personal. But I just want to say, like, like really fantastic job, everyone that I've seen so far. And I will take a look at most of the other one in the Discord channel, just like offline at some point. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate you, but I have to jump.
All right, see man, you, take it easy. We'll take it from here.
All right,
see ya.
Bye.
All right, guys, as I said before, we're going to keep going. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow Tonton down below in the links below. He has his Instagram, his Twitter, his portfolio, and I think there's maybe one other link there, his LinkedIn there as well. So you guys can follow up with him there. You guys can, I see most of you guys have voted for the one-on-one sessions, which he has been very adamant about, figuring out how he can bring that to the community. But what we're going to do is I'm going to answer a few more questions here that we have, and then we're going to jump back into portfolios just so we can just, I want to give as much value as I can today. And for those of you who are new to this sort of setup, this is all brought to you by EditorX. EditorX is a no-code platform for designers and agencies to basically build what they've designed in their artboards of their favorite design program. With one click, turn that into a no-code website. So with that said, if you guys want to check that out, the links are for that in the description as well, and we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. And especially if you haven't started already using your portfolio, they have tons of templates, things like that make that so much easier. So with that said, let's dive into some of the questions here. Let's clean that up, and then we will go ahead and continue on our escapade. Okay. All right, let me scroll up in the comments here really quick. Dun, dun, dun. All right, y'all shot off a lot of them. So I'm going to go ahead and answer this one. So this is actually a really good question. Prith V was asking, I'm always confused between the process of whether I should have my process first or my outcome first, because the recruiters want to see in my portfolio really what the end result is. And to answer that question, like, we talk about this a whole bunch. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I know that. Okay, cool. It's on the correct screen. Perfect. So what we've talked about in several times in let's see. I'm gonna try to find a portfolio that has it. Okay, no. There was one that we looked at last week. Let me actually go to my Discord really quick here. Give me a second, guys. Boom, boom. Because this will be a good example for everybody. There we go. Okay. So this was Uiux V, and we were taking a look at their portfolio. And what we've mentioned are like the 3 key main things of any portfolio that is just like a recruiter or just a person who's looking at somebody's portfolio, which just makes our lives so much easier, is 1, what is the challenge? What were you trying to solve? What was your solution? And then also just being able to understand or get our hands on the actual prototype of what you said your solution is. So the 3 things, yes, is what was the challenge, what was the solution, and the ability to actually take a look at what that solution is. And that can either be images, video of what you've produced, or even better, a prototype so we can actually run through it. So what I'm getting here, at least the first 5 seconds / first 1 or 2 scrolls, is they're reproducing calm. Calm is creating peaceful user experiences that accentuate calm's content. Okay, creating peaceful user experience that accentuates calm's content. All right. We get a little bit of eye candy here. We dive into what the challenge is, the solution, and really that's all I have to look into before I dive into launching the prototype to see if I actually think that they solved their challenge well. That's all I need. I don't need to scroll through all of the rest of this detailed stuff. I need to see what was their problem, what was their solution, did they solve the solution in a way that was well done. Those are like the 3 keys for any portfolio. The rest of this process stuff is kind of like nice to have, and it just gives us additional information, but it actually makes our decision making take a lot longer on a candidate. So the 3 things that we can dive through easily: challenge, solution, let me see it. Okay. So great question there. And I'm going to do 2 more questions, then we'll dive back into our portfolio reviews. Okay, let me see here. Anytime, Hillary. All right, let me see. Theodora, what's a UX designer's favorite exercise? Sprints. Ha ha. That's hilarious. Okay. JT is saying, there is an author's site I want to redesign with my entire soul, but I admire the author and want her husband, and I know her husband designed her site. I'm afraid of offending her, even though her site looks really terrible. Well, listen, I would highly recommend, like, the feels of, sometimes there's money to be made, and sometimes there's just like political things at hand, which just sounds like very political. So, I mean, it's up to you if you want to, ruffle feathers, but I'll leave that up to you. It sounds like only the impact you'll make on whether or not you approach them to do that website. Okay, Ryan says, thank you. JT says, see ya. Oh, I guess she rolled out. Lucia, glad we were oh wait, y'all are saying bye to Tonton, nobody else. I thought you guys had left. Okay, all right, so let's move back into our portfolios here. Okay, and for those of you who are wondering where we are getting the list of portfolios, if you guys are already not in our Discord, and I'm gonna switch here. All right, perfect, so you guys can see my full screen. Okay, so if you guys haven't already, this is our Discord community. Again, you can join this link down in the description. It's editorx.tv. Okay, again, editorx.tv in the description. And essentially, we have January 20th. We always have 2 portfolio reviews a month. We are going to add the new dates in at the end of by the end of January. So if you guys want to sign up for our next ones, they will be in our Discord, and you'll be able to sign up and basically drop your your links in here. So far we've already gone through, I believe, 5 of them, and we're just going to kind of go through the rest. So we have EVC here, we have LV, so let's go ahead and check out their Behance projects. So let's see here. So LV, let me actually, because what I've also asked is, please help me check my UX design work. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's jump into their first UX design project, data analyzing tool. All right, role, output, project overview. Okay, again, think with me, right? I'm looking for what the 3 things that we talked about. All right, what is the project? What is the product that's being made? What is the challenge? What is the solution? And can I actually get access to that? Okay, so I'm reading Tristan's what's it call it? A comment about the comment back to JT. That's freaking hilarious. All right, so staying on track. All right, so boom, the challenge. Okay, this is a good section to have. What I care most about, I couldn't really care less about the team. Granted, it's nice information, but project overview, what I should see in that is not only this, but after that immediately is, what is the challenge? What is your solution? Okay. I'm always going to come back to this. Like, this was perfect. Overview, redesigning comms user interface to address users' dissatisfaction and create a cohesive and peaceful user experience. Solution, addressing user complaints, offering easy access to main features, designing a clean, minimal user interface and consistent design system. This section helps me the most, and on top of that, the challenge as well. So it's like everything in one area, and I have access to the prototype. So just going back to good examples, how can you do that with your portfolio, LV? Because again, all the process stuff, like typically people don't have problems with process stuff. You guys have been trained, whether it's through, everybody kind of teaches this online through the Google boot camps, through just YouTube videos, or however you guys are learning. The process side of things, you guys kind of have down pat. It's the basics of what recruiters, people who have the ability to hire, what are they looking for? And I would highly recommend you have your project overview. If you could, maybe, I'm not sure if you design this in Figma or whatnot, if you can get somehow a link or be able to embed. I know in Adobe XD you're able to embed now in your Behance projects, but I also do believe you're able to embed your Figma prototypes in here as well. So highly recommend pulling the challenge further up. So you have your goal, challenge, solution, and then maybe under that immediately getting into a button or an embed of your prototype. Okay. So that's the main thing. I think your process, you have like the typical user interviews, your research, your customer journeys, all the stuff that I would expect. But the things that I expect the most is goal, challenge, solution, and let me get my hands on it. I think that's the main thing that we're missing here. Okay, so good job. And again, LV, if you're watching this either now or later, just remember to rewind this. We started with some really good concepts of really what every portfolio should have. And if you just look back there, it will kind of get you on the right path to what you should continue to add to your UX projects. Okay. I'm taking a look at let me see here really quick, guys. Trying to read the chat and go back and forth. So JT is saying, I have 5 different scripts for a soft approach, just haven't built up the nerve to actually say anything. Well, maybe JT, maybe that's something we can talk about in the Discord. It sounds like you've been going through a couple iterative ways to approach, but you definitely, I agree with Tristan, you do not want to go with anything that puts down the site. You actually probably want to put some endearing words in there and just help them, let them know how that you can help them in their journey to either better their business through what you provide, and in showing how you can do that with your skill set, and in just really examples of what you've done in the past. Okay. So Natsalon is saying, let's say if we have a very original or profitable idea for an app and want to show solution as a project. but not have the opportunity to make the app. Is that a good idea to put? Yeah, so this is what, let's go back to this, guys. So this was a really good question. Let's say I have an idea, it's profitable, it's an app that I want to produce and want to show a solution for as a project, but have not had the opportunity to make the app. Is that a good idea? Well, first off, you should totally 100% just like build it anyway, because I want to have a little bit of a story time too, guys. I did not go to school to be a designer. I have, like Tonton, I've worked with Adobe, I've worked with uiux, Disney, Hilton, tons of other companies. And my portfolio, especially starting out, were just projects and make pretend brands that I just fully wanted to, I was inspired. I wanted to make something. I wanted to make something cool. And I just made like total redesigns, rebrands, remakes of sites, and kind of put a little bit of, remakes of apps, and kind of put the process of how I thought through those things. The UX process does not change. It's what is the challenge? What is your solution? How did you think through what you came up with in terms of your solution? So how did you think about things? It's not like we make something and we're just like, we decided to, if you're making things and you're like, well, I just decided to make it that way. That's a little bit of a problem, especially in UX. I mean, if people want to hire you as a graphic designer or UI designer only, maybe. But if you want to be like a UI, UX designer, product designer, you have to put a little bit of thought and strategy around, I designed what you're seeing here differently than where it started because I wanted to improve this feature. And I asked around and, heard that people also had problems with this feature. And I also don't like that feature. And I think there's a better way of doing that. For example, there's been people who, thought toilets could be more efficient. And now we have flush efficient toilets. People are like, we waste so much money with toilets. How about we have like an efficient handle, a regular handle, or even like a thing in the back? So find a problem that you're passionate about, or like you said, your app, and just build it out and just explain the process and the way you're thinking about how you're trying to improve something. Okay? Good question. All right, let's move back. Trying to stay on task. Okay, so let me clear out some of these things here. I'm going to keep that up. Actually, we will keep that up for now. We'll close Dropbox. And let's go back to our Discord very quickly. All right, let's go to John. John, I remember, I feel like you were saying I was talking to you a little bit. So general feedback, I believe that they were looking to, I think, illustration. Children's books, graphic novels. All right, perfect. So, oh, wait. Okay. So let me just do a quick little walkthrough. So my first thing would be, I'm seeing very different. So this is outside UI UX, right? But I'm seeing images that have no relation to, when I click in, what I'm actually seeing, right? And so I would say kind of the same approach, even though we are not talking about UI UX particular things here, but I think the same thing applies. You want to be able to tell people, especially if you're in illustration, you want to work in, I believe it was, children's books. First off, I don't see any children's books related illustrations. I see, I saw school, I saw some semi-skulls, things like that. What I think is important is, one, letting people know that you are looking to, you are in the children's book industry. So far, even in your About Me, passionate about building communities, social change, and the forward-thinking imagination of individuals through visual communication and writing. I don't see anything about children's book writing, and I don't see any examples of children's book writing. So I think one of the simple thing, create one case study or one layout here in your Behance that has something to do with a children's book that you've done. Explain what that children's book is, what the premise of that children's book is, and then show the work that you produced for that children's book. I think it's as simple as that. Because right now we just simply have illustrations and we have no context or even a frame of mind. It's almost just like random imagery that we can't really connect things to. So that's my initial feedback there. What is it that you do? You're a children's book writer and illustrator, and show the work of a children's book that you've done and example work that what is that story? What was it about? And show the different illustrations that correspond with that work. All right, so let me see. Next, I remember we looked at this portfolio last week, so we're going to skip past that. Let's go ahead and go to our friend. I think their name is Yal. All right, Yal is using Editor X. Very cool. All right, my name is Yal. For many years, I've worked as a lead designer at a newspaper for web and print. I have an experience working under pressure, turned my focus to UI UX design. In recent years, I developed my hobby of love of coffee, built a homemade roasting machine, and I roast my coffee blends at home. All right, cool. So let's move into one case study and let's see what's going on here. First off, I thought these were case studies, but I see they're pictures of the roasting that you do at home. Okay, so Loom Cybersecurity. Okay. JT says, I am so hyped to make a fake author for an idea I have. Hey, like that is part of the game. Like a lot of people are scared to like make fake things, but that's how things are built, guys. People have ideas, which are what people call fake, right? And then people bring them into existence. And if people actually enjoy that thing that was once an idea, it gets backing and it becomes a thing. So don't think just because things are fake that they don't have substance. They do if it is good. All right, just make the key thing there is when it's made, make sure it's good. Let me see. Tristan is asking another question. Let's actually go back and answer this here. All right, so Tristan is asking, I have another question. Should each case study look the same, like following a set template, or is it better to have a variation in how each study looks? So I like to have a templated sort of arrangement. One, it makes it easier when you're making these things, right? So you make one template and you know, as people, or not only yourself, but as people are going through these things, there is a set rhythm for each case study. What is the, what is the project? What is the challenge? What is the solution? Let me see the prototype and or the end result of the work, and then maybe the process. And then having that set up for each template sets and trains the people looking at your portfolio. Here's how each project is set up, and we don't have to think too much. If everything is different, information is on across different things, it's not standardized, it takes somebody a little bit more time to pull information out of your portfolio. So I would highly recommend standardizing things. If, for example, you have a little bit more for a case study than one super case study where you have like a lot of video, a little, more assets, things like that to show, I would stick with the template, but then just break out of that to add the other valuable things in there. So good question. TGC, a fake author that writes fiction. I don't know how that works, but sure. All right, let's go. Let's jump back into the case study. Okay, so first off, I love that they're starting with a video, giving us a little bit of a look into what the final solution looks like. Again, this is part of the thing that helps the people looking at their portfolios. A couple things I see: we have a navigation, perfect. We have a view of the final prototype of the work. And then I can actually exactly what was the problem, what was the goal, aka what was the solution, design a feature that will give the user cyber analyst the capability to manage and allowest of alert types. I'm not sure what that means. Whether that means to manage a lot of alert types or manage and allow list. Yeah, might want to go through that. Maybe it's an industry term. I have no idea. But my assumption is the capability to manage a list of alert types. Okay, so we have the role, responsibilities. But like I said, this is what I care about. What is the product, right? What is the problem? Boom. What is the goal? And I already get to see what the solution is through his video. So in my book, I already can make some judgments about, will this person be beneficial with this type of knowledge, who's built something like this, be able to be helpful to me and my team? Okay, we can go through everything else. I already see he's got the user flow, the sketches, the alerts, mock-ups, all that stuff. He's got accessibility. Okay, the ability to go back up, but the structure is what I expect. I would love, and you know, I just love this sort of thing, guys. Like, as you don't need to, but just if you can, I think this is pretty good, right? Where it's better, a video is better than an image, and a prototype is better than an image and a video combined. Okay. Now, what's better than that is creating a promo sort of thing. We talked about this a little bit in the past. Well, maybe I can give an example, but let me see. I absolutely love. No, this is not the best. So basically, I'm going to put this in the chat. So there are ways to display your work that make how you displayed it more exciting. So there's a reason. So the best way that I can explain this is think about the iPhone. The iPhone constantly has like a show reel where it's just like the new iPhone 14 has just come out, and then there's like, you know, Apple has this beautiful, you know, 1 minute video that kind of just goes through the features, how much more sexy it is than the 13, you know, how much better, what's the new glass, the liquid, la la la. So basically it's like, how can you bring the value of your work up to the next level? So for example, this wasn't like a super big project. This was just something that I made template wise for a Patreon a long time ago. But just take the concept of the beginning of this video, right? Like just how the simple design, how it's in the laptop, how I'm hovering over things, how it goes from in showcases into the tablet, the mobile phone, and the desktop, and it kind of shows all those different variations. For those of you guys who are wondering, well, okay, Brandon, like that's great, but how the hell do I get those videos? Do I have to do it all myself? If you guys come to our portfolio reviews, we constantly talk about Envato.com and using templates such as video templates. One of my favorite products here, if I go to my downloads, are, I mean, a couple things, but you can buy mock-up desktop and mobile. Like for example, let me fool. So they have like shots like this where you can download, I think this is maybe max $15, and all you have to do is open up like After Effects or Premiere Pro and replace these images, and you have like having something like that. Okay, it's 24, but it's worth it. You have them forever. Okay, guys, it's worth having something like this, especially when you start, maybe not at the junior early level, right? But as you start evolving into your career, right? You're in there for like 4 or 5 years. You're looking for like senior positions. You're looking for lead, creative director roles. Like being able to present your work in a super valuable way, or a top-notch production way. You know, bringing videos in like this to showcase your wireframes or even the video version of your prototype. The higher the quality, the better perceived value there is. Okay. And I'll just share this as well on YouTube. All right. So let's jump back into, I basically just wanted to say the structure was good. I think because you have been in the industry, y'all, I think that adding a little bit more, I love how you mock up the things here. Let's take a look at some other stuff here. Boom. Okay, it's mocked up. Oh, let's go to the other ones real quick. Let's just jump into one more. I think you have everything you need. I would love to see a little bit more. All right, cool. You've got video. And I know, let's see. How do I hop out of this? I don't know how to hop out. Okay, so I clicked this and it brought me somewhere else. I would highly recommend that you just let this play. But I love the fact that you have this. Boom, what's the product? Yes, launch the prototype, problem goal. Like my friend, you've got it down. Like if you want to make your website prettier, all for it, but you've got what you need, dude. Really well done. So we'll close that. And guys, like I said, as we go through this stuff, things will be going a lot quicker because we're trying to, the main things of what is the project, challenge, solution, and then ability to jump into prototype. Those are the things that we're looking for immediately. If those are not there, we'll say, please have those there. And then, you know, we don't really care much for the process. Process like takes us a long time to go through and we really don't have the time. In general, not today, but in general. Okay, let's take a look at, I believe, oh, we did look at this one earlier. This one was fire. This is pretty good. Okay, let's go to, and that was Oliver's, very nice, and wanted general feedback. Let's go to Taiwo. All right, let's go, let's pop this open. Oh, we also take a look at this. Let's go to Julia Enders. All right, let's see. UI UX designer with 1 year of experience and background in team leading, customer support, editorial, and psychology. I am skilled in problem solving through creativity and building empathy to improve the human experience. Love this. I would love to see either some sort of imagery. I'm hit with just red and just black text. I would love to either see maybe an image of, the actual owner of the, this portfolio, or just like a overall just nice, some sort of imagery, right? And I do feel like the red and black, I feel like there's a little bit of a contrast thing there that needs to be looked at. Okay, but let's move to the work. Okay, in a Natura cosmetic app. Okay. So we get a little bit of a look at the app. We see the user flow, low fidelity. So this is more so the process. All right, we get some nice eye candy though. All right, so something like this, I would love to see this up front because this gives me like it is in the brand or the brand appeal of this product. So I would love to have this at the top, right? Kind of showing you're dressing up the end result of your project. Here we just kind of have like some screenshots, which doesn't do your project justice. These are absolutely beautiful. Again, kind of going back to what's missing here is what was the project, what was the challenge, what was your solution, and then let's get us into some eye candy or being able to see what your actual solution was, whether it's a prototype, images, etc. And then you can put that process stuff at the bottom. Yeah, what Theodora said, that the contrast ratio. Definitely think that we need, with the black and red, it's a little bit difficult to read. Okay, but I think that might go, probably, we'll look at one more case study. Oh, I see that you have the brand guidelines and this is the actual app. Let's take a look at this. All right, so we have brief. There are all kinds of wondrous cuisines around the world. Every country has a variety of their own national dishes to offer. Unfortunately, it's hard to find all the recipes of different cuisines in one place. Veg Global includes recipes of 6 different countries. Veg Global also has a feature to filter recipes according to preparation time, dining categories, and intolerance. Okay, so these are the deliverables. I love the fact that you are showing, you have the display thing first. Make it bigger. I'm assuming that you have this on, all right, myportfolio.com. I wonder if this is, I'm assuming this is an Adobe or a Behance portfolio. That's my first thoughts, and I'm sure this is pulling in like your Behance stuff. But highly recommend make this thing larger, because let's see if I'm correct. Let's go to your Behance. I'm pretty sure that, yes, exactly. So make this larger. Again, lead with, you're letting us know what the brief is. What is the challenge? What is the solution? I want to know what the brief is, right? But I want to know what this kind of gives the challenge. But what is the, I guess the solution is, has a feature to filter recipes according to preparation time, dining categories, and intolerances. Separated those so it's easy to scan. Here's what the product does. Here was the challenge and why we're producing this product. Here's how the product is solving the problem. And again, give us the prototype, in which the prototype are just imagery of that final thing, and then push everything down the, yes, because this is what I want to see up front. This is beautiful, nice and big, love it. Get to see your screens. You've spent time to mock it up. Your style guides, yes. So get this. This is what should be up top. Boom, right underneath. Veg Global. What is the challenge? What is the solution? Let's get to that prototype, or even the ability to just see the rest of this, right? See this, and then maybe. So I'd have this at the top, right? This would be your header. Maybe next to here, the brief, challenge, solution. Underneath that, maybe have some of this eye candy here. That underneath, like the process of building everything, and you can end with your wireframes and style guide and high fidelity stuff. But yeah, some of this stuff should be in the beginning. A lot, like again, we've said this continuously. A lot of the stuff is like, hold on. My LinkedIn is broken in the... Hold on 1 second. I'll give you guys my LinkedIn. No, don't make it bigger. Make it smaller. Okay, there we go. Here is my LinkedIn, guys, for you all. The description, I'll add it later. Okay. So let's see. Thank you for that. Theodora. All right, let's see. But that's my thoughts there. Let's go back to our here. All right, we took a peek at this. Nicole, that was absolutely awesome. Shreya, let's take a peek. And also, I'm going to take a look at the chat real quick over here. So JT said, every time I join one of these lives, I'm excitedly add at least 1 month of work to my... Wait, I excitedly add at least a month of work to my schedule. As what do you mean? In terms of like things to improve, or because of these, you get more work? What's the dealio? All right, Shreya. Okay, self-taught. You know what? I think we took a look at... Oh, wait. We did take a look at this last week, and I think they've changed some things. So, housing.com. All right. I love this portfolio from last week. This was amazing. I think one of the things that we had mentioned to her was... All right, wireframes, final UI, edge case V1. All right, result after V1 launch. All right, that failed. Scope of V2. Okay. So this was a very in-depth, really well done case study. We took a peek at this last week, and the feedback was, man, first off, this person is just hella smart. I just have to give it to them. This is really freaking good. And by the way, this site was freaking built in Figma, which is interesting. I didn't realize this. I didn't think that this was I didn't realize that this wasn't a site at all. But it's built on Figma. So let's look at simple. But we looked at this last week. There really wasn't much that we could kind of pin you on. Like, you did an excellent job in terms of, I don't know what's going on here. I think this is all right, so that's revisiting personas. It's housing.com. All right, let me take a look at what's going on. Creating reward program for engaging users to activate on Simple's network. All right, here's how to leverage user motivation. All right, so this was the deck. Oh, wait. when you start editing your name, email, or photo. Okay. All right, so this was a little bit different. So they used Notion. This was interesting. So they have what the project is, designing simple reward project to increase user retention. Perfect. So this is what they're solving for. All right, boom, about simple problem statement, defining the scope. This is what they're going to be working on. And I'm immediately going to be looking for a prototype. Let me see. Do they have a link? I do not. All right, cool, but we're straight into the work here. So we have the nudge screen, the home screen. All right, so I'm getting to see which each thing, what will happen in case of refunds. So I'm getting a little bit of a breakout to understand, all right, here are the problems that they're trying to solve. Here's the visuals of how they're solving it. User testing, okay. All right, again, I do wish there was a little bit of a prototype, but you know, we saw this last week. They have structured their information in a really good way. We get to understand what the project is, what simple is, what the problem statement is, what's their scope, and we get to see some of their visual solutions as they kind of call them out. Nudge screen. This is what they'll be showing, the job that needs to be done with this particular screen. Inform user about the launch. Focus on how they can earn reward points and multipliers. So they do everything that they need to in their portfolio. I do wish that it was a little bit more dressed up, meaning I would love to see like more mock-ups, not just screenshots. But what I think they do excellently is taking us on the journey of here, even though these are screenshots, these are the problems that each one of these screens we're trying to solve on the screen, which is excellent. Ah, I see, JT. You're basically getting new ideas. I love that. And let me see. Things to add, perhaps I feel the same way. So, JT, I feel you. And also, I don't know how to say your name, my friend. Hyacinth. Hyacinth? Yeah, oh yeah, I got that. Hyacinth. Hyacinth Dibley. I like it. See, I challenged myself there. I got the words. But this was a beautiful portfolio, and I'm flabbergasted. This entire thing is literally made in Figma. I might have to check that out. That's pretty sick. Might need to make a whole video on how to make a portfolio just via Figma. This was very good job. This is freaking sick. All right. Hashtag no code life. All right, let's jump back in here. Let me take a look at this. I have a feeling we might have taken a look at this one already. I think we did. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But for those of you guys who want to take a look at Shriya's portfolio, I'm going to drop it in the chat here. Hey, what's going on, Ibrahim? What's happening, my friend? Glad to have you back. How's your day so far? And Iasi, what's going on? Glad to... Wait, Iasi, is that your was that your portfolio? The Figma one? Because that was absolutely sick. All right, Thomas, I think we went through yours, my friend. Saral Kumar. So this one, I saw this one, okay, and I was pretty impressed. I actually showed this to. The plan was to show this to Tonton, but I only wanted to highlight just a few of the ones to start off with. So what I really liked is that they had large imagery, growing businesses with empathy-driven products. I love that they started out with video, a nice little reel. Again, like, I'm so captivated by eye candy, guys. Like, being able to visualize and be able to visualize your work in a video format, especially if this had music, it just takes your perceived value up to the next level versus the designer that just has screenshots. We're moving into their design showcases. Now, what I'll say here, which was interesting, there was questions about should your links take them off of, should any link in your website take people off of your site, especially if it's a work piece. But I have to say, from a fundamental standpoint, I do love the design of this. I do wish that we got to see, who the owner of this site was a little bit higher up. Like maybe if in this corner we're growing businesses with empathy-driven products, then maybe either underneath or maybe with some space under here, just a little bit less prominent, letting us know who is behind this brand doing empathy-driven products. So Raul, who's a product designer currently based in New Delhi. Curious by nature, I make extra efforts to understand the purpose of the product to create a solution which embodies the vision of the business while empathizing with humans to deliver a memorable experience. Okay, so I wonder if, so that takes people directly to sending them an email, but they also have links out to, I think, like their Behance, if I'm not mistaken. So I love the fact that they have a hub, their website. And it's okay, it's probably in transition where maybe they had Behance work, and now they're kind of trying to build out their website and pull everything there. So I'm assuming there's a little bit of a transition here. Oh, Jaslin's back. Jaslin, you know what? I think you're still in the video, man. I was hearing you clicking your mouse and eating Cheetos or something. I couldn't put my finger on what it was. But what are we showing you, Jaslin? And what's up, Andy? Glad to have you back here, my friend. Oh, you are here. You are here. Oh, you're back on. All right, let me grab that. Well, we're putting you back on camera now that you're back. You're like, you put words in my mouth. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to put Tonton back in here. All right, let me see if I can grab this. Boom, boom. I'm not sure if they cannot hear you yet. We're getting everything hooked up. I think if you popped in and came back in, it resets. But let's see. Let's all right, there. Leave us alone, Theodora. So basically, when you I don't know if you left or whatnot, but basically, whatever happened, what I have in place of the guests, it just says like guest person goes here. So I switched it to before you actually came in, and it was just like person goes here, and Theodora's like, wow, like you did him dirty. I tried. Okay, so let's see, what are we doing?
It's your show. I'm just here to here to support.
You're just chilling. All
just
right,
chilling.
Cool beans. All right. All right,
I will interject
okay,
when I disagree.
All right, sounds good. Okay. Well, let me see. Well, it's good to have you back, man. We can kind of do you can just chill back and relax now. But all right, so we're starting off with a little bit of a header here. We got some disclaimer. This is not a real product. I don't even think that we need to have disclaimers, honestly. Like, it's nice and all, but I feel like that we do a little bit of a disservice. Like, if it looks good enough, it doesn't matter if it's fake enough or fake or not. Like, if somebody inquires, like, you figure out how to make it, right? Or you've made it anyway. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. The disclaimer part, like, again, this is a case of like, you don't have to say it's real, but you also don't need to say right up front that it's fake. Like, what is it? The omitting the truth versus telling a lie. Right? It's a fine line. I'm no lawyer, so. But I mean, do be honest. I do be honest at the end of it. Like, like as you go to it, if you go to that interview, just be honest with the person interviewing you. But you don't need to be like, right off that, this is fake. Like, pretend that it is. Once again, I'm not even here. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, even then, where it's just like, going back to the light bulb example earlier, like if Edison or in his team brought the light bulb to investors, Like they just like the case study is very much real. If someone brings the light bulbs in front of these investors, and Edison and his team are like, hey, here's this thing that we spent time on and we put thinking behind. The investor obviously sees some sort of output, whether it's in this case it's the case study and some thinking has happened. And then the investors or whatnot, the people who funded Edison and his team to continue doing light bulbs, the investors in Edison's case were not going to be like, is that a fake light bulb? Like, no. there was time and effort and thinking that went behind somewhat of that solution. So
Yeah, that's a really good example. Don't sell yourself short too
exactly.
quickly. Let them do that for you. I mean, they're already going to do it anyway, so you don't need to give them ammunition. Well, that's not it wrong. They're not necessarily gonna. Like I'm just saying, they're gonna go to it fast anyway. They're gonna already find problems. Don't need to give them ammunition more than you know. So omit it
Yeah.
in your case study, but tell the truth if they ask about it during the interview process.
All right, so we came in. It seems to be like we have a little bit of a prototype in the beginning here. I'm pretty sure there's probably music to go with this, but this is one of the things that we, constantly we've said. If you have something to show, put it up front. We don't want to scroll all the way to the bottom to see all this stuff. And I would say, so you have like maybe these are different features. Put these all together in one video so we don't have to click through all different videos. Like make one video showcasing the app or the website as a whole. But again, I also think I might catch your drift where you're talking about certain features and you just, that's one of the things with Behance. I see what you're doing now. You're not just doing random videos. You're like, hey, here's this feature, scanning and interactions, and you're having people actually play the videos. What I would recommend you do, and I'm not sure if this is possible still in Behance, but making GIFs so that these are constantly playing. Obviously, the resolution won't be there, but the experience of having to click on all these videos is going to be a little bit cumbersome. But overall, you have amazing videos, good mocked up showcases of what you built here. Only thing I think you need in the beginning is you have the problem, but let's explain the solution. Have a section where it's just like, here's the solution as well. But very excellent stuff with this, man. You have a great overview of what the app is or your solution here at the top. I don't think you need the disclaimer. Just let us know what the Winter Wonderlands thing is, what the problem is, and the solution, and then let's dive into everything else that you kind of have. But good stuff. All right, let me see. Okay. Who is that? That was Saral. Let's see. This is Bupesh Behance. All right, let's see what we got here. And if you guys want to follow along here too, I'll just pop this stuff in the chat too. I forgot, like, I'm supposed to be going back and forth. All right, so this is Bupesh, History and Evolution of the Camera. So I wonder what was their feedback that they wanted. I would like to get my portfolio reviewed. I'm currently a UI UX design student. All right, let's see. So I wonder if this is just like a history thing, or maybe this is a website showcasing the history of the camera. I can't really tell if that's what this is. Oh, okay, maybe it is. Hold on, let's see. The future. Cameras will keep evolving as the technology keeps evolving, and I will keep pushing the boundaries. So I'm a little lost in this. So I see like the mood boards, the style guides, and all that. So here's the idea. All right, 360 camera.
And to kind of add a little bit of a different perspective as you scroll to this, and it's important, right? Like this is a case of where you have a lot of good stuff, but the organization of it is just not, like you're not, like in the beginning, you're not stating what you're solving for. And it's causing, like, so again, it's causing that like ripple effect where if we know exactly what you're doing as we scroll to this, the rest of this might make sense. Again, it's like going back to the organization. And something I didn't mention earlier, like your case study is like think of it as a storytelling. Like it's you're a storyteller. You're telling a story, right? And the good thing is you get to control the narrative because you get to choose how we see it. So like tell that story. Like in like any good story, you need an introduction and you need a really and then you can put some the meat in the middle and then you need a conclusion, but it's a story, so tell the story, right? Like a little bit of intro, like who what when how, like what we do with a story, you give that in the beginning, and then as we scroll to and just getting the rest of it, like it just falls into place. So and I think that's probably what's missing in here. They have a lot of information, but again, the organization is just not there. That's why you're getting lost, Brendan. Again, I'm not here.
Yeah. No, that was, I couldn't have said it any better. It's like it's important to understand just the context of what we're going to dive into, which is what is the project, what is that challenge, what is the solution, and where is the example that an example of what we can see the solution, or an example of the solution that we can see as a whole, whether that be in video, images like this. Like I think this is the project, right? This timeline, I'm assuming that this is probably like the website timeline, just sharing what the future of cameras are going to be. But then I kind of get lost. I'm not sure if this is the solution. I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at, and then we get into like, yeah, it's just the organization to let us know what we're looking at. All right, let's move to this other one. Maybe there's a little bit of better hierarchy here. So you're giving us your process. All right,
And
the problem. What's up, Tonton?
no, I was gonna say in the meanwhile, while you do that, like, because obviously I'm multitasking here, as you can all see, I'm like going back and forward. But if anyone has
Bing.
questions, right? If anyone has questions that are like specific, like it could be anything from like career wise, it could be about design in general. It doesn't have to be about portfolio. Like if you want to talk about typography, then set 4 hours aside because I'll go all day. But just saying, like, it's like if you have questions that are like specifically for me, like you could just throw them in the YouTube um, chat, and I will probably try to answer as I go, as they come to, as Brendan is just going on about his thing. So I'm here if you have questions. Just saying. If you don't have a question, that's also cool too.
Yeah, and what we might actually switch to, depending on, well, we'll see. Let's see how many. Let me do a quick count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 more. And I'll try to make those a little bit quick. But like as Tonton said, he'll be answering questions in the chat. And also, before we switch to that, I do want to, there was a really good question by Tristan, whether or not, should we have a dedicated website over Behance and Dribbble for hiring purposes? So we talked about this a little bit. I mean, I feel like every time we do this, we kind of what's it called, dive into this. But it really depends. In my perspective, it depends on where. There's no right or wrong. It depends on where you are in your career. Where that's probably the better answer. It depends on where you are. Like Behance, Dribbble, Adobe Portfolios, even like a Figma prototype thing that we saw earlier today. Really good for getting you a portfolio that you can then take to market and start selling your skills. But when you start like where Tonton, where I am, you kind of have to, especially as you start growing, going up the ladder, more so in Jaslin's arena. Like if you go to his website, again, link in the description, you can tell just from his website, like he's at a high level. When people go, when he applies for a job or a creative director position, like his website reflects the skill sets he brings to the table as well. Again, the better things are designed, the more perceived higher value you have. So again, Dribbble, Behance are great for starting up, but as you transition in or go through years in your career, you start needing to own your own space where you can build your brand, you can showcase to people your skill sets through your own domain, and eventually, you know, if you want to do more stuff, you can actually build a business off of that. So
Yeah, and I can add to that. You know, there's like two sides to this, to that, right? Like, because the medium, like, because again, it's you telling that story, and you do have only a second, like about maybe 5 or 6 seconds to make an impression, right? So when you go to the problem with Behance and Drabble, and this is coming from a UX perspective, is that when you send somebody on those sites, they're not focusing just on your work. There's a possibility while they're looking at your work, they might find someone else's work that is stronger. Right now, you're competing with so many other people when you just wanted them to focus on your work. But that being said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using Behance or Dribble and any of those things. It really comes down again to the narrative. Like, can you tell? Because especially with Behance, I think Dribble now allows you to do that. You can create a case study in Behance that tells a story. I've had jobs like, yes, I still recommend, like, build a portfolio in there's way to do it. Like, I spend way too much money in mine, but I was also freelancing, so at that point it made sense that I would I hire like a top developer to develop it, to do all this fancy cool stuff. But I was freelancing, so to me that was just like money well spent, because I get that back. But if you're not on that level, then you don't do that. It doesn't make sense. I've had jobs where, like, while my portfolio was being built, like I literally went to like 3 different interviews for like the top companies. Like I went to an interview with Meta. I had my portfolio was a Notion page. I literally show up. I'm like, listen, my portfolio is a work in progress, but like I have a case study that I built on Notion. The key point is, like, can you, like, obviously you have enough experience where they can look past some of these things, right? Like I'm like, I'll pull it up on Notion. I'll just walk you through it. That's the selling point. It's like, it's one thing to have a portfolio, but another aspect that we sometimes overlook is, like, can you walk someone through your portfolio in the problem without just reading what you wrote? Like, can you really just sit there and talk about the work, and show the passion that you put into it without just reading it, like turning into a robot, and really talk about the work? When they challenge you about a decision you make, can you defend that decision without being like too defensive over your work, but like, so it shows that, okay, you open to feedback and willing to better yourself, but also you also can defend your own work. Like, these are like the little thing that separate you from the rest, so to speak. Right? So a great portfolio will help you stand out for sure. I mean, yeah, like but at the same time, like I just want to, like, say, like, you don't have to go out and spend like 10K on hiring developers to build a portfolio. This is not a plugin for Editor X, because I don't work for them. But you could build your own. You could build your own, but you could also just still tell a really, really great story using Behance. In my case, I use Notion to just put a case study together to get to the interview process, and then just walk them to my thinking. And I think early on, because I went back and I was reading, like, some of the comment on YouTube, because somebody was like, is the process not important? And I want to go back and highlight, yes, the process is important, and it is a vital piece, but it just doesn't need to be repeated on every piece on your case study. This is the point I was saying. Like, you can talk about your process, you should talk about your process, but you don't need to repeat it on every single case study. Then it becomes repetitive, it becomes redundant. It's almost like, okay, we get it, you have a process. So could be a thing that's reserved for your about page, or it's reserved for that interview. Once you get in that door, you can just lay out, like, your process. Because believe you me, it's not that different from anyone else that's ever done it. It's design. We all do the same thing. We go on Pinterest, we find some inspiration or wherever your source is, and then you start design. You do some wireframing, and then you just go back and refine it. It's You could have 15 years of experience in the industry, like, it doesn't matter. We still do the same thing. So
exactly. You put it perfectly, man. And like, that's why you put it perfectly there. So that, and for the next portfolios that we look at, like, there was a good question by Theodora. What are the worst portfolio mistakes in your opinion? They're the same mistakes that we've been talking. The top 3 important things in a portfolio are the worst things not to have in a portfolio. So when you guys watch this, whether we've gone through your portfolio yet, or as we go through these next ones, we're literally gonna just if Tonton wants to continue rapid firing, we're literally just gonna frame of reference is what we're looking for is do they have some eye candy to open up the case study? Do we know what that project is? Do they showcase the challenge? Do they showcase the solution? And do they have a prototype and have imagery at the top to kind of like give us context for everything? And then after all of that is just the process. That's kind of how we're going through the rest of these, because going through and reading all of them doesn't really matter. Like those three things, challenge, solution, prototype, or just being able to view what that end solution looks like immediately, those are the key things. That's what makes a great portfolio. And the details within that, like you can finagle them as you wish. But those three things are like key to helping somebody very easily scan your portfolio and getting the answers that they need.
And organization, right? Which is part of those three things. Like that's what we talk about. Like is it organized in a manner that's easy to follow? Like how long will it take me? Like don't reinvent the wheel. Like and I know I say that a lot, and people always think like because we're designers, we always overthink everything, and there's nothing we will overthink more than our own portfolio. And we thinking at times like if we just reinvent a case study, like to make it something like you've never seen before, like it can be great, and there's probably a time for it, and there's definitely room to make something that's never been done. I'm not saying don't be original, but be original with the confine of like it's a case study. It's like I'm bringing the car example again. Like a Toyota and a BMW are not the same car. They can look very different. Like, I mean, you take a Ferrari versus a BMW, they're not even the same car. They both take you to point A to point Z, but guess what? They both all have 4 tires. And in cases have what is it called? A steering wheel? Like a windshield wiper is something that every car probably should have for safety reasons. And like these are like, they all using the same ingredients to make the same thing, but they don't all have the same flavor. Again, I'm going back to food for a reason because I'm hungry. But so I'm saying like you can be original, but also be original within a box, so to speak. Right? Like stay within that like checkbox. Like as designers, like the principles of design don't change because we will them to. The principles of design are still the same. Like spacing and whatever they are, I don't know. Like you don't have to remember all of them to be a good designer. I don't remember any of them. I just know I do them sometimes. Sometimes I don't, and I have to go back and make sure I tweak things. But yeah, that's essentially like what are we saying? We're not telling you not to be original. We're not telling you not to bring personality to your stuff. We're just saying like do it, have fun with it, but also make sure you keep certain standard. Sorry, I'm gonna go offline and eat now. You on mute, buddy.
Oh, it's my bad. You're gonna go eat now?
No, I'm gonna stick around for like 10 minutes. So if you want to do some rapid fire cool. Q&A, happy to do that. Or if you want, whatever you want to do, you're leading. But after 10 minutes, I am going to bounce and I am not coming back.
All right. Well, I wanted to roll through these because I am trying to roll out by 5. But also, if Ryan and Noah, if you guys are still in the chat, I know that you guys had questions earlier, but you guys might also have dipped. But yeah, very quickly, like I'm just gonna shoot through these and then we'll end with Q&A, and then so Tonton, you might be out before we get to the end of it. But enjoy your what's for dinner.
I am actually smoking some meat right now, so I'm making
very nice.
It's so good, but I still have like 10 hours left. So yeah.
Delicioso. All right, man. Well, I can't smoke meat.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good, dude.
Some of us have skills, taste good. Some don't.
I do not have those skills yet. But going back to this stuff, guys, because I'm trying to hit these out of the park real quick. So, like I was saying, grading this. About the project, good. We have the project challenge. Again, I would like to... Man, Tonton, what's going on? Why are you out here?
I stuck some food in my mouth real quick, and I realized it's blackberry, and my chips about to turn black real quick. Like,
It's
so
all
I'm like,
good, man.
bad idea.
You're right. You're fine. I'll put you. I'll put you out of the screenshot if you. You're right. All right. Cool. All right. Let me see here. So we have the about the project goals. We have the before and after, which is I get a, and this is a way better designed version, which is cool. Now, what I want to have seen, because I saw this was a full look at the new site. So again, this is kind of what we talked about. This is stuff that we want to see up at the top. Okay, it's showing it's giving me a better glance at the full scope of your solution in much less time versus me having to like scroll down, kind of read stuff, all those things. So I would also, this is good information. I would separate, so about the project goals, I would also have like separated between like problem solution. Okay, so about the project, problem solution. So let's say English was, because scannability is important, and if I start reading all this stuff, it's going to be an issue. So English has quickly become the international language of the world. A good working knowledge of English greatly increases many opportunities for students to reach the fullest potential in all of their life's desires, dreams, and endeavors. Okay, World English Institution is a nonprofit organization runs with volunteer teachers. Okay, project goals. Let's see. It is a great source of free of charge students who can't afford private English language instructions. Okay, redesign World English Institution's landing page and students' dashboard to have an up-to-date and user-friendly design. Okay, so I guess that works. Project goals, and then this is essentially the solution, the before, the after. And then we have that video down here that I would definitely love to have up top for like the full scope of what was actually designed. So, but I think everything else you have pretty good. Why redesign the old website? Makes sense. Landing page problems, good. Landing page solution, yes. All that stuff is important. Okay, but only thing, I would bring that video up further. Okay, on to the next one. All right, let's see. And no key. Let's take a peek at this one. Zomato redesign case study. So college project. All right, brief to redesign an existing app or website of choice so as to enhance its user experience. All right, the company. All right, don't really care about all right, let's see. Zomato is food delivery platform, started in 2008. Okay. Since expanded in 24 countries, all right, facilitates its users with options for home delivery, takeaway. All right, food quality, accessibility, and assortment are the key focus of Zomato. All right, their mission is quoted as shaping the future of food. All right. Again, I would love to see I know this is redesign an existing app or experience. That's general. Let us know what parts of the user experience was problematic. What was the challenge in the user experience, and how did you improve the user experience? Because obviously the point of UX design is to improve stuff, but what wasn't so good before? What's better now with your solution? So challenge, solution, and then let's see what we can.
I just need to jump on it. Sorry, I was leaning. Didn't know I was coming back on video. So I think it was Theodora that mentioned that the search bar used to be on the top of the screen for the longest time, but Apple moved it to the bottom of the screen so that it's easily accessible. This is basically reinventing the wheel. Yes and no, because they didn't. So reinventing the wheel would be taking that search bar and changing it, so to speak. Well, they didn't change the search bar; it's still a search bar. They just move it down to be more easily accessible. So, and if anything, they just reorganize it, but they didn't change the bar itself. So, what would be again? This is semantic, right? So, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong on your thought. I just want to get clarified. So, I just want to make sure, like you understand what I was saying, like don't reinvent the wheel. Like improving the user experience is great, but don't reinvent like your case study to the point where it becomes impossible to navigate. Like if you're gonna reinvent it, like you're gonna do something different, like make it so that it's enhancing the user experience. And to that point, with the search bar, for some users that was an improvement, but for others, because again, we so accustomed to it being on top that even Apple had to look at it and be like, well, you know what, we're still gonna give you the option to just keep it on top because you're accustomed to that. Because sometimes the best user experience is the one that we've got used to, not because it's better, because our phone has gotten bigger, so it just makes sense on the bottom, but it takes a little bit to like retrain your brain to do that. But the problem with your portfolio is that a hiring manager and a recruiter does not have the time to, or the patient or willingness to go back and really just be like, okay, you're doing something different, let me rethink the way I've ever seen every other portfolio just for yours so I can get a better understanding of it. So just want to touch on that point. And I'm not saying you're wrong on like on the idea of them reinventing the well, because in a way you could say they did, but I just want to highlight the point that it's enhancing the user experience, but they still give them the option to keep it on the top. But for your case study, it's like the time is of the essence. So you just want to make sure you have some consistency there. So I just have to kind of like answer that one. It's close to home, so to speak. Yeah, of course. And Brendan, you unmute again. I feel like that should just be my full-time job, just to let you know you unmute.
it should be, because I'm there's a lot going on back on my side of things. But yeah, Theodora, thank you for like even mentioning that, because like just to have that conversation is really important. And this is why I like the live format, so we can, because we have you guys in the chat are, yes, we're learning, you guys are learning stuff here, but we're also learning a lot of stuff from you guys, how you're thinking. We're addressing, we're not even addressing, we're able to have conversations about how you guys think. You guys get to see how we think, and we get to come to a larger and greater understanding together.
Yeah, and we sometimes won't. Just want to put that out there.
Well, like, even the won't is an understanding.
Yeah, like it's like sometimes like we'll say things, and then if you like the thing is, like, I want you all to get out of this, it's not just about reviewing your portfolio, but also if you feel very, I mean, don't be stubborn. There's a fine line, right? But if you feel very strongly about something and you can defend it, then let's have a debate on it, right? And then a good debate is like, I'm coming in with an open mind, willingly like to accept that I can be wrong about this specific thing, and you can change my mind, and then but also expect the same from you, right? Like you come in thinking like, okay, I have a really strong debate about this, but if you make a better case for it, then I'm going with this thinking like, okay, I was wrong, you were right. So when you go to those interviews, like I want you to go with that mindset of like, you want to be confident, but you don't want to be stubborn. Like there's a fine line, right? You want to go with an open mind, but you also 1,000% defend every single design decision that you've made if it's in your portfolio. Like it's okay to say like, oh right, now that you said it, that could have worked better, but you should still go in there defending the decision you made because you made it, and you should stand behind it. But with an open mind, knowing like, okay, you can walk back and be like, huh, that makes sense now that you said it, because blah 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 blah. That shows that you're good at taking feedback, but also it also shows that you're not just gonna you're not just a follower, you just do everything. You're good at taking feedback, but you're also good at just having critical thinking and just having the conversation and debate your ideas and defending them. Because we're in a position, like, and I said we in the STEM, but talk about like Brendan and myself, because you're in a position of a managerial position, it does not necessarily automatically make you right about everything. I mean, it rarely makes you right. Like, and for me, like, my style of management, like something that I always like to bring, is like, I don't see myself as being on top, but rather I see myself as being in the bottom, keep like holding my team. So like, I love it when I say something and one of my team may be like, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, Okay, why? And then they dive in. I'm like, you're right. This would have been stupid. Let's do that instead because it makes sense. So just going with that, like it can be hard to be able to build that level of confidence to speak up to your manager because I know it took me a while to get there. But I want you all to like, as we do this, like, like practice that. Like you put it in your portfolio, have a reason for it, stand behind it, and defend your decision. And then, but okay, again, like I said, be open minded to like if you wrong, you wrong, and be able to take it back. But you should be able to defend everything that you put on your portfolio.
For
So,
sure. And also, out of curiosity, for those who are actually in the chat, I would love to know, because the thing is, actually, I might be able to. Are there actually? Let's do that. How many or who here submitted a portfolio that we haven't gone over yet? We'll focus on that, and then I think for the rest of the people who submitted their portfolios, I'll probably just do them offline. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how it works. But let's actually, the people who are here. How can we? Is there any way that we can address any other final questions? You guys want us to continue kind of going through the rest of the 9? Let us know there. And while we kind of wait. And by the way, for those of you who answered the poll, thank you so much. So Tonton, just what's it called? Just so you know. People are definitely looking forward to those group and one-on-ones more than the ebook. So maybe we can figure out how we can do that. But
yeah, and
conversations.
the poll was really close too, which is interesting. But like, I want to say, like, like with these sessions, like if we do end up going one on ones, like it doesn't have to be about your portfolio. It could also be about career growth. It can be like I'm a junior designer. What do I need to do to become a mid designer, or I'm a senior designer? How do I which the higher you move up, the slower it gets to get to that next steps. But like, how can we get to that level? And if that's something we're interested in, like, it doesn't have to be just from my perspective. Also, we can get more details, but like I have other people that I work with often that are just as amazing. Like I have a friend of mine who's an ex Navy SEAL and who works like at the last company I work for, and like he's a strategist. I mean, the dude is just brilliant. Like, and he really has helped me a lot in my career too, as well. So, like, and he'll probably be willing to chime in and join in and just hear from a different perspective. And Brendan, of course, would probably be happy to come in and hear from it. So just think about all of that and what you want to get out of the sessions and what would be beneficial for you career wise. And and I don't know if they've answered a question on the channel because I gotta jump soon. But if they do want to have a few questions they want to ask, now's the time. And because I have to go and I'm not coming back. I keep saying it. I just wanted you to know. Like this time, I'm like, I really gotta go because I have not done any work.
All right. So here's a question from Marianne Baker. She wants to know how much information should one person put in their about section. I've seen portfolios with a little bit of information, some with a lot.
I mean, I think it's a balance, right? Like, because what we looking for in your portfolio, like in the about section when we go there, is to get a sense of who you are, a little bit of your personality. Like, you don't need to write an essay, and like no one should expect that, and no one's going to read an essay, to be honest. Like, it could just be like as simple as like a paragraph. Or as much as mine, which is goes on and on and on. But as you can see, it's a personality trait. Go on. I'm just saying, like, like just let your personality shine. So I don't want to ever hide that. Like, I get excited and I get passionate about things, so I show that. But if you're more like an introvert and just give enough, right, for me to like who you are, what you do, what your passion. Like, you don't even have to go into too much detail. A paragraph could do it. If you could do it in less, I don't think there's a limit. Like, it just whatever you want to share publicly, because remember, everyone's reading it. So
Yeah.
you don't have to get personal with it, like too personal, I mean, but like just give enough to tell me like, oh, I'm an interest. Like, what is one fun fact about you? If you had a chance to, like, so think of it this way, right? What is the one thing like you like that's a fun fact about you that you proud to share with everyone? So, like, introduce that in your portfolio somehow. Like, maybe just to give you a little bit of personality, because you're more than just your work. You
Yeah,
are a person that happen to do great work, but you're not your work.
exactly. Couldn't put it any better. I feel like the about page is pretty much like where people go to get to know literally more about you, and it's kind of like a free for all.
Yeah,
Um,
and another thing too, like if they are going to your about page, that's a good sign. There's already interest there. So don't forget to add a contact us button or an email or some sort of a phone number or something on that page, because I've seen it so many times. If somebody's taking the time to go to the about page, they probably have enough interest. The work is already there enough where they have enough interest. Now they just want to get some information to contact you and just have a little bit of something to do, because no one's going to read your about page if they're not interested on getting further into the hiring process.
exactly. All right, so we got two, three. All right, well, all right. We'll just quick these up. All right, my portfolio is a working. No, wait, nope. All right. So Lucia, when you get a resume, what is the first thing you look at? Any information that stands out?
That's a really good question. So things that die, and that one is super, like, in a way it's subjective because it depends on who's reviewing it. There's so many things that goes into it, which is unfair. Like the hiring process is so unfair. Like this, because there's a few things, there's a lot of subjectivity that goes into it, and more importantly, it depends on what mood that person is at the time they're reviewing your resume, right? Which is kind of unfair. If you're having a bad day, you're like, whatever. Like, I try not to do that, but I'm human. It still happened, right? But I think things that I look for most importantly, like I, I I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't look at the resumes all that often. I don't care. I don't care if you have no experience. I don't care if you have 1,000 years of experience. The one thing I care about is, like, because I'm hiring designers. I let the work speak for themselves. Like, I look at the work, I look at your about page, I'm like, oh, seems interesting. Let's give that person a call. Like, whether you went your education level, like, like later on in the hiring process, like, like if we like, okay, now we have to hire you. So now, like, looking and look at your experience, see what position where you fall into it, that becomes more important. But that's really the only time where, like, I care about the resume, just to see, okay, this person seems interesting. Let's have a walk. Let's have a talk with them. And I don't remember the last time I went to an interview where they asked me for my resume. It's starting to feel, it's one of those things. Like, if you're a designer, you have a little bit of experience. Your LinkedIn is your best resume. It's the most up to date resume. If they want a resume, they can check out your LinkedIn page, or attach your LinkedIn page to that email you sent. Like, things I don't care for: cover letters, resume. No one should be forced to write a cover letter. Like, seriously, that's just so antiquated. But that being said, if you are going to do a resume, keep it short, keep it simple, get to the point. Like, you don't need to write a whole thing about, like 5 pages of an intro. Just briefly keep it very simple. List out your experience, your educations, and things like that. These typically don't matter in my experience, but your experience is really the only thing. Like, you don't do the thing where you talk about your skills and you have that little graph thing with, like, Photoshop is here, and like that doesn't mean anything. Like, better yet, don't do that. If there's one thing I would say, don't do the skill thing. It's irritating. I don't know if this is a personal thing, but just don't do it, because you don't need to put that in your resume. The work will show. Just throwing that out there. All right, what's the other question, Brendan? Let's get to this. I want to get to more.
Let's see. All right, last one. All right. So I'll do this one. So this is from Igor Vensko. Advice for career growth. Is there comes a point in the profession where you wait? Hold on. Let me just read what he says. Hi, advice about career growth is very interesting. There comes a point in the profession when you can't figure out how to jump higher, and then you need advice. Thoughts there?
Oh, okay. I thought you said you got it. I thought. Okay, never mind.
Oh, no,
All
no,
right.
no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's always this. You gotta be realistic, right? Like you like that's, and I think that's gonna be the first thing to think about when you're trying to move higher on any position in any market, like or company that you in. There's going to be time where you are at a company and you've hit the ceiling. It's just there's just no other move there. Like you're in a position, you're like, okay, the only way I can move any higher if somehow they made me CEO. Like, you gotta be realistic. You're not, it's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So this is where, like, again, you're happy where you at, you're making good money, like your mental health is good, you just grind it out a little bit, and then but you working, but what you can always work on, like it doesn't matter what position you're in, your communication skills, your giving like presentation skills, your managing skills. If you have like junior designers, like you, like let's say you hit the ceiling, right? But you can't move any further in this company, but they hired some new junior designers, like, and you have not had a lot of managerial role or experience, then practice that. Like, take one of these people under your wing and mentor them, and then help elevate them. So what you do then, you're not really working to move higher in the current company you're in, but then you're setting yourself up for to not do a lateral move when you go to the next company, but to move up to the next company you go to. So you build the experience where you at, and then you go to the next company. You apply only to position that you want to be in, and then you go with those experiences. Be like, okay, I've done this, I've done that at my previous company. Like, even though I was not a manager, but I still had a junior person, and I took a junior person. Like, these are like leadership's quality. These are the things that make you set aside. And then, of course, um, I would, I do not get paid for this, but I wouldn't go without recommending this, like a camera.
The eloquent leader.
10 steps to communication that propel you forward. It's honestly one of the best books that I've ever read. It's amazing. There's a lot of like nuggets in there, like you can take from it, and that's how you propel. That's how you move your career forward. You get a bit. If you do one thing, become a better communicator. 1,000% of the time, that's how you propel your career forward. Just better communicator. Like, you go to that job interview, you, I mean, you can talk your way to becoming CEO of Wells Fargo if you wanted to, if you can communicate well enough. Obviously, that's exaggerating, but I'm just saying, like, there's something you can always work on. And we can dive into, like, I feel like this is one of those things where, like, it's a very one-on-one subject depending on where you at, like what you've been doing, and then we can dive in deeper into these things and really develop something, and maybe even have like goals that we set that you want to reach, you want to meet, you like things like that. But yeah, but that's a book I would recommend to anyone and everyone that's trying to propel a career. Even if you're a junior designer now, start reading. Like, it will pay off. All right, one more question and I
All
have to
right.
go.
All right. I hear the kids downstairs like, Dad, you're
No, it's both. It's the
the
work
meat
and the
is
kids.
ready. Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Last one. There's two in here. I'm trying to pick between the two. Okay. JT, I'll take yours, but Lucia has a question. What is the difference between looking for a product designer job versus a UX designer job?
Semantic. I hate. I Okay. There's a problem in our industry, like where recruiters sometimes don't even know what they're looking for, and they just go with hot, fresh title. I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen UXD, I've seen UI UX, I've seen product design, I've seen ninja designer, I've seen unicorn. Like, I've seen them all. But at the end of the day, like, it's just semantic. A product designer is no different from a UI UX designer, because you both are doing the same exact job, depending on the company that you're working from. Like, so, like, the goal is like, are you what do you want to do more of, right? Like, I've been in position where I was a UX designer. Like, my focus was like, purely UX. I was doing research. I wasn't really doing a lot of design. I was mostly just embedded in the research process and things like that. If that's something that you want to do more of, there's definitely jobs for it out there. Look for that, read the descriptions, and most importantly, if you do get that interview, send an email to the person, to the hiring manager, and ask him, does what this says reflect what you're actually looking for? Because again, that's it. Those recruiters, they get fancy, like, and they get crazy. I've seen like ones where like they ask for somebody to have 5 years of experience on a code on a language, on a code language that's only been around for 3 years, and you're like, what? Like if somebody asks you like, oh, we need like 12 years of experience on Swift, you're like, that's impossible. Like Swift hasn't been around that long, unless it has now because I'm old. But still, like these things happen. So it's really just semantic, and just read that description and make sure you align with what you're looking for. Because a product designer, a UI UX designer, at the end of the day, all it means is that you have, depending on the level you're in, you have to be able to take research, understand the research, and process it, and then take those information and turn them into an actual thing that aesthetically look good, but also is feasible because it's backed by research. And keep in mind, most places you work, you're never gonna be the only person doing that. Well, you shouldn't be the only person doing that. It should be a team of you to help balance it. Like in my team, when we hire people, like, let's say we were looking for a UI UX person, somebody come in and they just much stronger UI designer, then I'm gonna lean on that more. A good manager will use you where your strengths are while helping you build in other areas that you have interest in.
That's a good answer, man.
Try my best.
I love this semantics thing. So, all right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you again, Jaslin Tonton. Enjoy your roast, or whatever you're going to be eating tonight. Enjoy the family, your Friday night. And dude, thank you again. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, follow up with Jaslin if you so feel, and then we'll figure out as time passes on how we're going to do the the small little get-togethers, the cohorts, or the one-on-one things. We'll figure out how to put that together for you all.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Kazo, for having me again here, dropping into your channel unannounced for the second time around. But I'm really just passionate about everything design, and like, so I like to give back, because when I first started in the industry, I had a really talented creative director that saw something in me, and then he took me under his wing and really just helped me to where I'm at now, working for a company that I've always wanted to work at, and get to do that and work for all these things, but I couldn't have done it by myself, and I couldn't have done it without the support and help from the community, whether it's online classes or of Brendan giving just free information away, like he's been doing, so a lot of that is just me trying to give back as much as I can, and I love what I do. As you can tell, I'm a very passionate person. I'm just really that energetic all the time. I can't help it, even at 3 a.m. You should have seen me at Adobe Max during my presentation. Oh, it was wild. No coffee, but anyway. Thank you all for really just listening. And again, like I said, Brendan said, if you have questions, reach out. If you can't get to me because I'm slow to answer, get to Brendan. He will get to me. I don't mean to play Brendan as my secretary, because he's not. He's absolutely not. But I'm just saying, he's just more active online than I am. And he will just text me if he gets a lot. So I'm not trying to downplay him. He is not my secretary. Brendan is, if anything, I'm like, Brendan is over there. I'm all the way at the bottom.
We're fine. Thank you, man. Well, enjoy your evening, dude. Thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate you all.
All right, peace. Bye. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much. And what we're gonna go ahead and do here, you guys can decide to actually let's roll into this real quick. Let me get the last. Because after this, we're going to go into Teodora's portfolio, but I want to talk about JT's question here. I'm transitioning from broad design to a niche market. Should I include my old designs in my portfolio? If I don't, I will only have 2 projects to showcase for now. So to having 2 projects, it's fine. But here's how you do it, right? You have the niche that you're moving to, have those the most priority projects, like the top of the line, right? Or like those are shown first in your portfolio. Then have your subsequent projects. So you don't need to remove them. Just make sure, as Tonton said, have your best work first, and the niche that you're trying to push into, have that as your top of the line work first. All right. So JT, that's my answer to you. So now let's take a look at Theodora's portfolio, and then we're just going to go rapid fire through the other ones. All right. Theodora, I already took a peek at your. And by the way, I love the fact I must be missing out, people. This must be new. I don't know how I'm missing this out or missing out on this. In terms of people using Figma as their portfolios, this is excellent. Hey there, I'm Theodora, UX UI specialist based in Bucharest. I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but I apologize. I'm just very American. All right, guys. That's my problem. I would put this just a little bit higher, just so I can probably around in this space, so this can hit my eyes first. I already took a peek at some of your case studies. This was beautiful. You have your introduction, exactly, your project overview, challenge, objectives, which is basically your solutions, what it needs, clean, modern, mobile friendly. I love the way that you have this scannable, your design process. All right. Now this is like that extra stuff. All right, so prototype, what I'm looking for. Okay, so we have this. What I'm really looking for is like the true prototype. And if you've done this in Figma, I'm assuming that you have a prototype somewhere that you've actually built. So I would love to actually see that versus you kind of walking me through the prototype. Even though this is good, it would be even better if you have a link to the prototype that I can actually mess around with, and having that up here towards the challenge, objectives, view prototype in this area. Or even having it here, website redesign, view prototype, somewhere in there, Theodora. Okay, let's see. So let's go back to the work. All right, by the way, very interesting that that's crazy that you could just did all this in Figma. All right, and cool. You have it directly to your email. All right, that looks good. But yeah, same thing. If this was pretty strong, I'm pretty assuming that the rest are strong as well. The only thing I would say is get that Figma prototype somewhere, have a call to action to it so that we can actually mess around with it. But the visuals are beautiful. Like this alone should be able to sell you. You have all of that. You have the challenge solution. You have the prototype at the bottom, right? So how can we bring that up and actually give access to a real prototype to the people viewing this? That would be that prototype thing. Where getting that in here, it would be my main thing for you. Theodore says, yeah, I could add the link to the actual website because they are live at the moment. Perfect. So that's exactly what you can add. So that's what I would say. And I'll dive in here. I really love how you have, like, you're just a really good designer. It shows the way that you're mocking this up. You took time, right? Delicious USA. What Delicious USA does. Exactly. Project overview, challenge, objectives. Beautiful. Yeah, this is really well done. Like, I would accept this. This is kind of what we've talked about. Like, do you need Behance? Do you need Dribble? Do you need your own website? Like, the answer it's not always 100% yes. Like, the way that you've been very resourceful using Figma to explain to somebody like myself exactly what you're capable of doing, right? Again, same thing here. I would love to see the prototype. You've explained everything of what the project is, what the challenge and solution is, how you've provided it in your role, and the process of doing so. But I would love access to be able to play around with the actual solution. Whether it be your Figma prototype or the live site like you mentioned for the other project. Very good. And I'll look at one more. So this was a design concept. I'm not sure if this is the name of the brand. I guess it is design concept. Interior design. My role. I would also have so this is the project mission to create unique. I would have the problem and solution thing here, like how you've done your other stuff. because here you just jump into your research, and I'm still a little, I'm like, research of what, you know? So I get to see the final product at the bottom. But again, I would love to be able to see that the challenge, okay, so you're working with a interior design studio. I was a sole UX designer on this project. My role involved all stages of the product life cycle. I started as the user research personas, using design methodologies. Okay. All right. But yeah, challenge. What was wrong? Why was this redesign needed? What was your solution? What things did you make better in the experience? And then a prototype. Even if it's a link just to the for us to be able to scroll through that homepage, like that is enough. The project page is stronger than the homepage. Oh, for sure. Like the project pages are, and then that's another thing. Like I don't think we need to spend too much time like on home pages, right? Like she tells us who she is and jumps in straight into the work. Like that to me is what is important. Now, back to like the design showcasemanship on here on these project pages. Like I get to see of how good of a designer, they are. If you wanted to add a little bit more fidelity to your homepage, sure. But just from your project page, I see all of that skill set. So, it's all about time and resources too. We can constantly revamp our home pages, but I think you spent time on what matters most, and it's the project pages. So, if you have more time to spruce up your homepage, sure. But I think you'd really sell yourself in your project pages. So well done. Okay, because it is 5 now, and I do want to take a peek. All right, we've got a few things here, so let me look. So we have Holly. All right, we did go through Holly's. All right, let me check this. We did go through that. All right, we did go through this one. And is there anything else I can, all right, that has a password on it, so I can't open that one. And this was that really hot one that we went over in the beginning. Let's take a look at this. All right, so we'll go over this one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, okay. All right. So let's go through these. This one I think we did in the beginning, so I'm just gonna pull that out and we'll just rock with these 4. Okay, so we have Lydia. All right, we have Christopher's Haven. User interface and AI redesign for a charity. All right, overview, my role. All right, I really wish, same thing here, like scannability is important, so overview, and if there's anything in there about like the challenge and the solution, like break that out and have its own heading so I can go through that. Oh, okay, so let's go back to the portfolio one with the password. Which one was that? Nope. Oh, and I missed that one. Okay, this one, HJ. Okay. Okay, let's go. Hi there. This is the first time visiting. I'm Hedgie. I'm so bad with. I apologize. Hedgie. I'm going to stand by that one for now until I'm probably going to be corrected, but I apologize in advance. Graphic design and product designer, passionate about visual storytelling and creating enjoyable digital experiences. Feel free to look around and enjoy. All right, let's take a look at the first top. Okay, so Lucy Hyperloop. Okay, so this is, I'm assuming these are the actual final projects, live ones. So this is all right, here we go. So you did the sign up page, and then we did the full site here. So I love the fact that you linked to the actual sites. Again, that's equivalent to linking to the prototype, so I love that. You're telling us what Hyperloop TT is building a new form of ground transportation. It introduces a high sustainable, high-speed cargo and freight solution, as well as capsule passenger experience. As a product designer contributor at Hyperloop TT, I am currently working on Lucy 3.0 version, a platform that lets you manage your working activities for Hyperloop TT projects. The contributors can manage, follow up, and contribute. Working directly with the brand's design system and making edits and contributions. All right, let's see. So it's divided into 3 parts: dashboard, contribution chart, and innovation market. All right. So one of the things that I'm immediately curious about, if these are the same thing or if these are like before and afters. And I would love to, so I know what Hyperloop is. You're working on 3 distinguishable things. You're working on the dashboard, contribution chart, and innovation market. However, I don't necessarily know like what the challenge was with the dashboard that led to this project. Like, what was the problem with the dashboard, contribution chart, and innovation market pages that made this project kind of start? All right, you want us to look at Jupyter Labs? All right, let's rock it. Let's go to Jupyter Labs real quick. All right. So, love that you have a little bit of, you've got video going on here. Project Jupyter is a nonprofit organization created to develop open source services for interactive computing across multiple programming languages. Jupyter Lab, a web-based development environment of Project Jupyter, does not have a basic settings system for their users. They only have an advanced settings system. Okay, so we had a meeting with the Jupyter team and they presented, it's still here. I would love to know just like definitively. This was, you kind of have like, this is Project Jupyter, this is who they are, but I want to know like, what is the challenge and what is the solution? Because I'm looking immediately here, I'm like, I really don't necessarily know. I know I'm looking at the final design, but contextualize what the challenge was and what your solution solved. And then I can be like, oh, this is what they were solving. Now I can look at this GIF / this video and understand why they made the decisions that they made. All right, kickoff. We had a meeting with the Jupyter team and they presented Jupyter Lab IDE product and shared their need of basic settings system for their users. Non-existence of their basic settings system makes complicated to make minor basic adjustments for their users. All right, so this is now the problem. They only have advanced settings, which requires the user to put code into the editor. The users need a dedicated page for a basic settings system experience. Okay. So again, I would in simpler terms, like you have in the kickoff meeting, what was discussed, but literally have like challenge. Let's see, let's highlight the particular part. Shared their need of basic settings system for their users. So basically they had advanced setting systems, but they needed a more basic set of settings. So that's basically what you're gonna work to build. But I have to, so far we're into this, probably like somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes into reading this, and while I'm talking, yes. But I'm having to like decipher all this. Like, it's very rare that someone goes through this slowly. And even if they do, like they kind of how I'm having to like reinterpret like kind of what I'm seeing here and what I'm reading and kind of put that together. If you can help me do that easier, one, we'll love you so much better because you've helped us understand how you are a good fit for us. Versus us having to read everything and then figure out how you're a good fit for us based on the problems that you're solving. Okay, research. All right, so we have all that good stuff where it's just like all the background stuff users should be able to. All right, mid fidelity. Okay. So I think the biggest thing for you, because I love the fact that you have like the final design and you're kind of going through that, but I think the biggest thing here for you is you contextualize what the Jupiter project is, but call outs to this was the challenge, this was the solution, here's a visual of the solution. You kind of need to break that out and like point blank explain that to us easily. Everything else, you have the write-up of everything you need, but just make it easy with like the three most important things, and the three most important things not to have in a case study is what is the project, what was the challenge, what was the solution, and then the extra is like the showcasemanship or the showcase of what you have. So you have the showcase, you have what the project is, but you don't have the challenge and or the solution. You have it in long verbiage here, but just break it out so it's easier to scan. But I'll leave that. I will leave that there with you, my friend. I mean, how do you feel about that? Good feedback? Is it valuable? What are your thoughts? And any other additional questions too. So while you kind of answered that, I will go through the rest of these puppies just very quickly because we have four. So we have Alex Simo, product designer, UI, graphic designer. Okay, so we get to see the different things: product designer, UI, UX, illustration. All right, featured, web design, see website, see insights. All right, so one of the things, so I saw this website and I wasn't sure if this, I guess, okay. I couldn't tell if this was like a real site or if it's just in another language. I assumed it was just in another language. I was like, maybe it's French. Again, guys, yeah, I think yes. I assume this is French, right? Don't murder me in the chat, guys. Okay, let me just. Oops. All right. Catalan. I don't know what Catalan is. Hedgie is saying, got it. I should think of how to start the presentation of the project more easily at a glance of the viewer. Exactly. So basically, because that, like, if you can set us up with what is the project, what was the challenge, what was the solution, and then give us a little bit of a view of what that solution is, like we have everything we need there versus having to dig through everything. Like if you have, what a lot of people do with their case studies is they put everything there, and what the viewer has to do is we have to go through all of it and we have to read like super hard, and we have to like use so much mental energy just to figure out what the project is, pull out the challenge from all that writing, pull out the solution from all that writing, then look at your photos and see if like does your solution like make sense. But if you give us immediately, oh, this was the brand, this is what they do, this is the challenge that was set for us, here was the solution that we kind of came up with to solve the challenges that were being had, and then here's kind of what that solution looks like. Then you've put all the puzzle pieces together for us, and we can just look at the solution and be like, oh, that is a really good solution, awesome, let's have a talk. It becomes much easier versus having to like read, like, you know, when you wrote papers for school and like, you know, you grow up and you kind of think back to like, damn, were our teachers like reading all of those goddamn papers? Like, you know, especially for how much we wrote, and just like the brain power that kind of takes. Like, make it easier for somebody to hire you. That's what we want. Okay. So I'm gonna close out all of this. let's see insights really quick. So website is Gucci. So wine cellar website rethinking. All right, again, awesome. So we know that there's a website we're rethinking, and after much discussion with over the website's traffic, and after observing that their website was not reflecting the image of the business they wanted to portray, I redesigned this Coast Winery website. Their specifications were cleaner, minimalistic, lighter, and lighter colored style. So frame, challenge, good, result, built-in Wix. Interviewed 3 people, qualitative research. All right, cool. So I love this challenge and results. Understanding the organization. Very nice. I see this. We wanted the user to understand the story behind. So I would love this at the top with the solution. So we have the challenge. I would love for them to be a solution section, even though this says the results, right? So challenge, solution, results. The role and the frame. I could, I think they're important, but not as important as, maybe you have them here, but what's super important is the challenge, the solution, to be able to like start me off. And maybe you have the frame, results, and role somewhere else. But I love the fact that they have understanding the organization. They even have a little bit of like their branding guidelines, where on a scale of X to Y do they want to be on. Understanding the problem. They have the personas, dive into the solutions, final design, and then the ability to check it out. I do think that these buttons, even though they're here, they're really tiny. I wish they were a little bit bigger because I really had to pay attention to realize that those were clickable. I do like the delicateness of your site, right? You're very consistent with your CTAs. But if that's what you want to rock with, be my guest. I can definitely see like, oh, those are the only things styled in that way. Those are obviously buttons. You have all the information there. Really good for you. And it might just be a personal thing that I think the text is a little tiny, but excellent job. I think you have everything there. And I love the fact that you open up with the ability for people to actually go check out the website. So boom, see the website. And instead of see insights, maybe view case study. But, either way, it works out. Hey, what's going on, Ariane? Glad to have you here, my friend. And Theodora, let's see, there is / was a debate going around quite some time ago regarding whether we should add a photo of ourselves or photos with us and our hobbies on our portfolio CVs. What's your take? So I will jump here for a quick second. All right. So the question is there was a debate going around of whether or not we should add photos of ourselves with our hobbies on our portfolio CVs. What's your take? So again, this is like a personal preference. I don't think you should force yourself to do it. Personally, I don't think I have a photo of myself on my CVs or whatnot. I have a photo of myself on my website. But I think it's a personal preference thing, honestly. It's how you want to brand yourself, right? It's what me and Tonton were talking about earlier. How do you want to what best represents yourself? How can you authentically let somebody know and feel who you are? So yes, having a face does, make you stick out from the other pieces of paper. That could be like a theory, right? But so does there's many things that can make you stick out, right? There was actually, he is a uncle of mine. Instead of writing his college essay like typed up, he actually sent it written in crayon. And I absolutely love that story because it was just like, well, because we're talking about how to stand out. He wrote his in crayon, sent it in via the mail, and that was his college entry essay for I think like some sort of master's whatever, what have you, for an arts program. So it's like, how do you want to stand out? Do you want to use your photo to stand out? Sure, go ahead. Do you want to use your writing to stand out? It's the question shouldn't be should we add a photo or not. It's how do I want to stand out, and then how can I stand out? And then once you ask yourself that question, does adding a photo help you stand out? Does adding your hobbies help you stand out in a good way? Does adding something else to your CV, resume, or portfolio help you stand out from the rest of the crowd? Those are the questions that you want to ask yourself, and not just stand out from the rest of the crowd. How can you help bring your personality through a piece of paper or through your website? That's what we have to ask. So it's not like negative 250 points if I don't have a photo on my resume or whatchamacallit. It's more so, how do I want to represent myself? What can represent me best? How can I best stand out? And you'll find your answer when you ask yourself those questions. So for me, yes, I show my face. Yes, I show the other things that I do outside of design to show how I'm different than the rest of the other people in my lane. So yeah, it's not a clean cut dry should you add a photo or not. But adding a photo does help people resonate with you or another person. That I can say. Okay. And I'll do these last two ones, guys. I'm going to do... I think I have them up here. All right, a kilo. And then we will do... All right, actually, let's do this one. Christopher. I think we did this one. But basically, my same thing here. I would want to see be able to go through an actual prototype. So you have Christopher's Haven, overview, break out what is the challenge, what is the solution. We have your role here, and then immediately give me the ability to either jump into your prototype or show me a video of your prototype. Okay? The same sort of feedback we've given. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen, guys. My bad. Let me open that one back up. This was Lydia's. So this is Lydia's project. Let me go to... I love the homepage, by the way. Very clean. Which one did Christopher's Haven? So love the cleanliness of your site. And everything that you have here is great. The only thing that I would love that would really bring this to the next level is having a video or a true prototype of what you've built and having that at the top so that we can simply understand overview. Okay, what was the challenge? And literally break it out: challenge, solution, and the ability for somebody to jump into your prototype. Have a button for your prototype here. I think this might just be a Behance sort of a situation here. But having maybe an embed, if this is pulling from your Behance projects, have a embed of your Figma or your Adobe XD prototype in your project. Okay, so we can go through that. So overview, challenge, solution, underneath that, prototype. Yeah, Theodora, thank you. I totally forgot about sharing the screen. All right, last two. Akilo Pelumi. All right, let's see. Works. Let's jump into... I would let this... this seems a little... This is just like a design aesthetic thing. I love that you have a photo of yourself here. I feel like you've got a smile on. I feel like I get the joy that you have here. I think that's awesome. You have immediate call to action for let's talk. Beautiful. You jump straight into your work. I wish this had more space to breathe. I wouldn't even mind if works was just centered here and this was right underneath in about like 2 lines. This kind of, because you have your stuff centered here and then it immediately goes to the left. Just center this up because you have all this stuff centered as well. All right, let's jump into this TV. So details. Also, I would add, this is a beautiful image. Like this is what should start the case study. And so start with this, lead with this. This is great imagery. And underneath have this stuff, the details, challenge, solution, and a link to the prototype or a video. Because I don't know, this image is not the best. It's not the best visually appealing. But this one is. Okay, so about Problem statement. Okay, this is what you're, okay, perfect. Fully managed video streaming service with free content, pay-per-view, subscription. Also enables content owners, producers, aggregators, and distributors to monetize their own brand content. All right, our high-level goals were to make it fast and easy for everyone to use everywhere, create a platform for innovation and deep engagement, decrease time spent searching for content, improve the overall experience here. Okay, gain more subscribers, increase the market share in African American market, or in African market. Beautiful. Having video of your final UI. I love this. I know this is a GIF that you easily put in here, but man, this is so beautiful. I really wish that you had a video in here and was as clear as possible. But good thing is you have this final product showcased. It's beautiful and it's mocked up. It's on a TV. All right, you have your responsibilities, all that good stuff that you need, your personas, all that other stuff, things that you should have, wireframes, hi-fi, perfect. But I love this, my man. You have exactly what I'm looking for. The top 3 things. About, you have the challenge. You have the solution here. Like this was like the problem statement, right? But I always love it broken up into like overview. What was the challenge? What was the solution? You make it really scannable with your bullet points, and then you dive into a little bit of some eye candy of what that final product looks like. I would love to, again, still dive into a full prototype, but you make it very clear with nice visuals and a video of what that product you've built looks like. So excellent job there, my friend. All right, let me close those things out. So just to recap, pull this out. Start this at the top. Details, I would put this underneath even this stuff. I would or even just like hide it somewhere. I don't really care too deeply about like the client and the role. Yes, it's important, but I would never put it over this beautiful imagery and this important stuff that I need to understand the project. So maybe you can put it a little bit smaller somewhere in here. Maybe, watch a VOD, user experience case study. You can put your role and all those things right underneath here. And then we jump into the about problem statement, some eye candy of what the final product looks like, and then the rest I can dive into if I want to. Again, prototype would help tremendously. And last one of the day, we have Chris Loggins, my buddy, my friend. I was telling him this is an absolutely beautiful portfolio. He just, redid this. And let's see, a designer and software developer based in Illinois, dedicated to providing quality visual and technical solutions that enable your brand to move forward efficiently. Okay, celebrating art, culture, and technology. All right, so hold on one second. So first off, I love the typography. I love that you have your name nice and big. Tell us exactly where you are and what is it that you do. Beautiful menu here, nice, clean, cut and dry. And is this your first project? So this is really sick if you built this, man. First off, I was wondering if this was a project. I think there needs to be a little bit of a prompt of like work, because you have selected works here. And I wasn't sure if this was part of it. I'm assuming it is because you do have your Webflow frame here, but I'm not entirely sure. You have some details here. I have been a designer and developer for 7 years, working with founders, agencies, and enterprise businesses to scale their online presences and expand their capabilities. All right, let's take a peek, see at some of your selected works here. People said this. All right, you have testimonials, capabilities, beautiful, and a way for people to contact you. Excellent. All right, homepage is lit, man. I love your large type. And all right, so this is coming soon. I wish I could click the whatchamacallits. These things. And you kind of have these stuff separated a little bit, where I'm thinking that this title goes with this, and this coming soon goes with this, but it's really going to this stuff. So that's coming soon. Let's view this website here. And I like, I think it's just clean, man. Like how you have the ability to just send your potential clients or people viewing your projects just to the site itself. I've always said, like, the prototype or the actual site speaks 1,000 words, and the fact that you are a developer and can just send people to your finished site is just awesome. Like I get to play with it. I get to see how it was built, made. I get to, you know, if I want to go behind the scenes, maybe even look at the code. It's just a nice and easy way to show people what you've done. So and nice and simple about page. I'm Christopher Loggins, 22 years old, web designer and software developer living in Illinois. Started learning design when I was 8 years old, starting out with small graphics on forums. By the time I was 15, I had the opportunity to intern at a local service design agency where I was eventually hired. For 5 years, I spent learning, improving my craft, and even furthered my knowledge of web development. Afterwards, I spent a while on the member stack team as a technical support specialist. Most notably, I've spent the last few years at Crafted Studios serving some of the world's leading startups and other awesome brands. Man, great about page. You've got a contact page, got FAQs. You even got video. You're like, hey, watch this video before you, message me. I think that's really good. Like giving people, what's we call it, context and understanding what. First off, because you're kind of putting a little bit of space between you and the person who wants to contact you before they contact you. You're like, hey, hold up. Before you contact me, take a look at these frequently asked questions. Am I for you? By the way, watch this video as well. And then finally, if you still, by this time, still feel like we're a good fit, then you can contact me. I think this is a good way, especially because I know he freelances too. This is a good way to keep separation for people who might not be the right customer for him after they've read all that. And then like, oh, I have this much budget, or I'm a customer or client like this. I still can work with him. Or, now that I kind of know the things that he works on or is looking for clientele, I understand where he's, where Chris is coming from, or I am the right client for him and he works on things that I want to work with him on. I can contact him. So excellent job, Chris. I love how you keep it clean, simple, straight to your projects. I do still think that this needs clarity, whether this is like a featured project section. I definitely stated just how you have selected projects. Definitely define what's going on here. But other than that, beautifully done. You've got your testimonials, what you can do, how people can contact you, and you set up the barriers where you need to, dude. So beautiful job. All right, guys, that is it for today. Again, if you haven't already, check the link down in the description. We have an amazing Discord community where people help not only designers, students, or I'll just say this at length or at large. Our community has several designers in it. Those who are web design focused, those who are UI UX focused. We also have some amazing developers in there. Highly recommend you join. And actually, to give you guys a little bit of a taste, I'm pretty sure the people who are hanging out here are already in the group. But just to share here, we have the two main things that a lot of people really dig in our community are these. First off, the chat, people hanging out in here. But secondly, the Ask a Questions channel. We do a lot. Our main focus in this group is EditorX, right? Building amazing websites, portfolios without code. So if you guys want to start to dabble in EditorX, building your portfolio from scratch or using templates in EditorX, definitely join the community. We have a ton of people in here who were very frustrated with Webflow, who wanted to switch over to an easier platform to build out their portfolios with ease. We have a ton of those people in here, and we're helping them build their portfolio greater and better and faster every day. So if you guys want to join in the community, we not only have a place for you guys to ask questions, but every Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST, we have what is called Design and Chat, where from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. EST, we talk about literally first off, we talk about design, editor X, how to get better in that, but also most importantly, we help people with whether they are kind of like this open forum, and we kind of just talk through and have a conversation with people about, what they're struggling with. Are you a student trying to get into the workforce? How can we help you there? Are you somebody who's trying to build a portfolio in editor X? What things are you struggling with? We'll share our screen and show you how to get over those things. We help with theoretical, portfolio, resume, building things in editor X, how to build better sites as agencies, designers, as freelancers, and even how to run a business. So we have amazing people in there. If you haven't joined already, links are down in the description, or you can go to editorx.tv to sign up. But ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been absolutely amazing. And I just wanted to say Teodora, JT, Chris, Ariane, and Heji, thank you guys so much for hanging out. For those who did stay thus far, Teodora says, thank you. Best conference I've ever attended. We have plenty more, especially if you join the community. We have things going on from talks, events, and just challenges that happen every week, every month. And really our whole goal is to just help you guys get better in your skill sets, whether it's UI, UX, web design, what have you. We were trying to build the future here. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing day. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe. And if you found this valuable, share with your other design friends to help them build amazing portfolios. So thank you guys. Have a great day and have an amazing weekend. Peace. Bye. Thank you so much for watching and tuning into this episode of Real Talk, brought to you by editor X, the world's most powerful no-code web design platform for designers and creatives alike. If you want to watch more amazing videos like this, check out our playlist down in the description with all of our Real Talk episodes, including other educational videos like editor X tutorials. And also, do not forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified each week when we go live, and of course, if you feel so inclined, don't forget to smash the like button because it helps us reach more creatives like yourself each and every day. With that said, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. With that said, Brandon Groce, out.